Gordon could roll in. Yes, it's in. Jacob Ramsey has scored for Newcastle United for the first time. It's all going on, and Spurs were level for only minutes. Newcastle back in front, deservedly so. It was a strong response to conceding the equaliser, and Ramsey across Vicario with his left foot into the bottom corner. 68 minutes played. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 2.
This is a great little ball, just played into outside of the right boot. There you go, put that in. Great finish.
A massive result to ease the pressure and lift the mood. Now another away trip for players and supporters in a competition that realistically represents their best chance of winning another trophy. But to do that, they'll have to be victorious at Villa Park.
It's a tough draw, and I think it's whenever you're away from home, especially with the run that we're on away from home in terms of the consecutive fixtures, I wouldn't say we think too deeply about it in the moment. It's just you absorb it, you take it in, you go, well, that's not ideal, and then you quickly move on and go, well, we've got to do it. And that's where we are. More sympathy for the supporters who then, as you say, have to make all the sacrifices and the travel arrangements to get to Birmingham for the game. Now our job is to make all that travel and all that disruption to their lives and the cost worthwhile, and that's what we're trying to do.
Eddie Howe has made 6 changes to Newcastle's team tonight, and he's without a couple of players. Johan Wissa has a knock, and we're trying to find out a little bit more about that injury. And Sven Botman is not with them tonight either, but we are told he is being rested and he is not injured. And the changes to the team, also we expect to see a change in formation tonight. Here's the 11. Aaron Ramsdale in goal. Kieran Trippier will captain the side at right back. Malik Chow and Dan Burn are the 2 centre halves, and Lewis Hall comes back in at left back. Then 2 central midfielders, Sandro Tonali and Jacob Ramsey, back at the home of his former club. Jacob Murphy on the right, Harvey Barnes on the left. Nick Voltemade comes in, and we would expect him to play in the number 10 position, just behind the striker, who is William Osula, making only his 3rd start of the season and a first since September against Bradford in the League Cup, a match in which he scored 2 goals for Newcastle United, 2 of his 3 this season. On the bench for the Magpies, 2 goalkeepers, Nick Pope and John Ruddy, Anthony Gordon, Anthony Elanga, Joe Willock, Alex Murphy, Leo Shahar, Sean Neve, and the teenage Korean winger Seung-Soo Park, who was also a substitute at Villa Park in the Premier League on the opening weekend. So I'm sure Villa Park is significant for him, given that when Newcastle have been here during his time at the club, he's been named in the squad. But with no Wissa and Botman today, in addition to the absence of the injured Bruno, Miley, Joelinton, Livramento, Cher and Kraft, there are spaces in the matchday squad once again for some of the club's academy and under-21 players. You listen to BBC Radio Newcastle, and we're also with you tonight on the BBC Sounds app, so if you want the black and white perspective on the match, then keep listening to us here, or if you have a smart speaker, ask it to play BBC Radio Newcastle. But if you're going to be out and about, or even just on the move around your house, you can put BBC Sounds on, select BBC Radio Newcastle, and listen to our coverage from Villa Park, as you'll be able to do tomorrow from 2 o'clock to Sunderland's away match against Oxford in the FA Cup. Back to tonight's game, a 5:45 kickoff. John Anderson, the former Magpies defender, is with us as always. Ando, the team is certainly interesting because we expected changes, but of course we didn't know that Wissa and Botman were going to be unavailable today or left out. Botman rested, Wissa with a knock, so that obviously has had a bearing on things as well.
Yeah, I thought Wissa would have played, but obviously he's picked up a knock obviously in training, so he doesn't figure. Giving Botman a rest, can understand that. Just moved Dan Bourne in alongside Chow. play Young Hall at left back. I thought Chow, I suppose if you're going to rest anybody, he's one that needs a rest with the amount of games that he's played and the amount of consecutive games that he's played. He most definitely could do with a bit of a breather. I think Asula starting is... Some people wanted to see him start. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. I mean, as you said at the start there, Reza, it looks like it's going to be a change of formation. Asula through the middle, Voldemar playing in that 10 role. So, yeah, 6 changes. I mean, Villa have made 7. You know, that's the way it is. The magic of the FA Cup, and everybody's making changes left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 clubs there that have, they have their own agendas, don't they, regarding the remainder of their season. Aston Villa probably not actively in the title race, even though they're only 7 points behind the leaders Arsenal. Their squad is stretched with some injuries as well. You would not be surprised if they won the Europa League. They went straight to the last 16, finished second in the league phase on goal difference. They will be the favourites, or among the favourites for that competition. But they can get into the Champions League, and you would expect them to do so through their Premier League position. Could win the Europa League. So you wonder where the FA Cup ranks in their list of priorities. For Newcastle, Champions League knockout phase playoff round begins next week, and on Wednesday in Baku. Obviously they've got some work to do to catch up and close the gap on the European places in the league, so they both have other things going on, but I just wonder where you would think that for both clubs the FA Cup sort of rests and lies this season. 2 clubs that need to win more trophies, there's no doubt about that, but also might look at other things and think that they're more important. And there's the additional factor for Newcastle in particular of extra games, which they want, but there's also an argument that they can do without them as well.
Yeah, look at it. I think Villa's main objective and main priority is Champions League football next season. They just missed out last season on the final day of the season, and of course we benefited from that. I think they will want to get back into the Champions League because of the financial benefits that come with that. You know, where does the FA Cup stand? As you say, the UEFA Cup will be one of the favourites to win it, so you would think, do they look at that and think, well, we've maybe got an easier opportunity and a better opportunity of winning that than we have the FA Cup? I don't honestly know. As for us, where does the FA Cup sit? It's an interesting question, isn't it? You know, obviously we want to do our utmost to get back into the Champions League next season. It's been a real strange season for us, there's no doubt about that. A great run in the League Cup, defended it well, got to the semi-finals, obviously, as we well know, lost it over 2 legs in the semi-final to Manchester City. Still in the Champions League. You know, the Champions League, as I said earlier, where Villa want to get back into it, you know, every game you play in the Champions League means an awful lot of money and a big revenue for the football club. So compared to the FA Cup, and as far as revenue goes, the Champions League is more lucrative, no doubt about that. So I don't know, but look, Eddie Howe likes to be competitive in all competitions. He stated that he wants to be involved in all competitions. He hasn't had the greatest run in the FA Cup since he's been here. Obviously the League Cup's a different kettle of fish. It's been kind to us, it's been good to us in the years that he's been here. I'm sure he would love to have a run in the FA Cup, but it's look, you just don't know which way this one's going to go, do you, with all the changes that have been made by both sides.
I'll tell you something, neither of them will want extra time.
No, definitely not. No. We wouldn't want extra time either, because it's freezing here. But look at, I think the last thing both sides would want is extra time.
Yeah, and it will have to be settled tonight either through extra time, possibly penalties if it goes all the way to 90 minutes and they are level, a bit like the third round against Bournemouth at St James's Park, which ended up being a football match that was spread out across 3 hours. They finished at about 5-6, didn't they, that afternoon, because the epic penalty shootout that Newcastle won. So we could have that sort of drama. Tonight we'll bring you all the action on BBC Radio Newcastle and through the BBC Sounds app. If you don't have it, then it's free to download from the App Store, and set BBC Radio Newcastle as your preferred station, which I'm sure you'll do, and you can listen to John Anderson's analysis on Newcastle and hear the game from the Magpies' perspective from 5:45. They've come out to start their warm-up at the penalty area right in front of us at the left of the halfway line, close to the away section, and they'll be in their change kit tonight, the away colours of green and white. And it's Ramsdale, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Tonali, Ramsey, Murphy, Voltemada, Barnes and Osula. That's the starting 11. On the bench, Pope, Ruddy, Gordon, Ilanga, Willock, Alex Murphy, Shahar, Neve, Sung Soo. Ando mentioned that Villa have made more changes than Newcastle, 6 for United, 7 for Villa, and their team is Marco Bizot in goal. He played here, kept a clean sheet against Newcastle on the opening day. It was his Aston Villa debut because Martinez, who's on the bench, the regular number 1, was suspended then. So Bizot is one of the 7 who comes in. At the back, they are without Matty Cash, so Lamar Bogard continues at right back. Then the other 3 defenders are all introduced to the team tonight. Victor Lindelof, Pau Torres and Luca Digne, who will wear the captain's armband. In the middle of midfield, Amadou Onana and Douglas Luiz, who has rejoined Villa on loan from Juventus, having spent the first half of the season with Nottingham Forest. Morgan Rogers, Ross Barkley, Leon Bailey and Tammy Abraham, another January acquisition up front for Villa. So Bizot, Lindelof, Pau Torres, Digne, Barkley, Bailey and Abraham are the players who come into the Aston Villa side tonight. At the bench is goalkeeper Martinez, Ezri Konsa, Tyrone Mings, Ollie Watkins, Andres Garcia, Emi Buendia, Jadon Sancho, Ian Matson and Mohamed Kone. Still a pretty strong Aston Villa team, but there's lots of similarities, I think, between the two clubs and where they are at and where they want to go, and they're kind of using their squad in a similar way, really, aren't they? They've got both got some big players out, particularly in midfield areas. Villa no McGinn, Kamara or Tielemans because of injury, so mixing and matching a little bit Aston Villa, but still some good players in there like Morgan Rogers, who's having a great season, and Douglas Luiz was fantastic before he left the Premier League for the first time about 18 months ago. So still strong Aston Villa. Yeah, they are.
Look at they're a good side. They've got good players. I mean, obviously the 3 best midfield players are missing, but we've got the same problem as well in midfield with our best midfielder being out, Joe Linton missing as well. You know, young Miley, we thought he was going to be back, and all of a sudden he's had another setback, so that's a blow. So yeah, there is similarities between the two clubs, no doubt about it. Look, I think both would love a cup run, but you can see by the sides that both managers have named that you just feel that the FA Cup's not really the priority. Look, it's a little bit like everything though, Razor, isn't it? You know, if you win this and you get through to the next round, the further you go in the competition, obviously you then start to prioritise it because you're then only a game or 2 games away from Wembley, so that's the way it is. But look, there's been wholesale changes to both sides. We'll just have to see how it goes.
It's sunset here in the West Midlands on what's been a clear and dry afternoon, but it's rather chilly, 3 degrees at the moment. Floodlights are on at Villa Park. We're in the Witton district of Birmingham, just north of the city centre, and it's about a 5 to 10 minute train ride from New Street Station, which was the destination for a lot of Newcastle supporters on their way down on trains this morning. A lot of them having to stay overnight because it's not easy to get back, and with the possibility of extra time and penalties, you don't know when you'll get away from Villa Park as well. But as always, a healthy and full away section over on the far side of Villa Park in the upper and lower tiers of the stand opposite us. And record here, well, not great. If you look longer term, 1 win in 10, that was in the Premier League 2 years ago, a couple of seasons back, when they were victorious by 3-1. But last season they got battered here 4-1. Generally don't travel well to Villa Park, do they, Newcastle? It's obviously the significance with the 2009 relegation, and it effectively condemned them in 2016 as well when they drew 0-0 here. So it hasn't been the happiest of away destinations for black and whites, has it?
No, it hasn't. No. Results here haven't been great over the years. There's a little bit of animosity between both sets of supporters as well. There's no love lost, but look, different game tonight. It's not as if you're going in with your strongest side and Villa are going in with their strongest sides. Looking forward to see how this setup works as well for us. If it's the way that we think it's going to be, with Voldemort in behind Asula, to see how that works. Villa will probably stick to their tried and tested, you would think. But look, games are usually good between them. The game at St James's a couple of weeks ago was a good game. Top Villa played very well. We started brightly. Tonali had that chance inside 40 seconds. If that had gone in, it may well have been a different game. But Villa played well on the day. Two different sides again tonight, of course. Not the same players. But I really think there's a big opportunity here for us tonight. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll win, Newcastle, and we both have that feeling.
Yeah,
that it could be a good night. Let's hope it is proven to be the case, and that we're both correct, as they are now joined on the pitch by Aston Villa, who go and warm up in the corner on the far right hand side. Both teams have made multiple changes tonight. Newcastle, 6 of them: Ramsdale, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Tonali, Ramsey, Murphy, Voldemort, Barnes and Osula. Wissa has a knock, Botman is rested. They are without Bruno potentially for 6 to 8 weeks, which is far from ideal, losing the captain to a hamstring injury. Miley not yet available after a dead leg. Joelinton close to returning but not fit enough for tonight after a groin injury. Livramento due back in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Kraft still out, unclear when he will return. So yeah, injuries continue to be an issue for Eddie Howe and Newcastle United, but definitely they are in a more positive frame of mind after the victory at Spurs on Tuesday, which felt huge both for the manager and for the team and the season in general. Not just the fact that they needed to end that run without a victory, but also the way they went about it. Should have won by more. It was on the whole, a very positive night, apart from the late injury to Bruno. And while there have been so many frustrations this season, and injuries continue to be a problem, as we were just outlining, there is still so much for them to play for, but it's been up and down, it's been uncomfortable at times. It may well continue to be like that, but that's what Eddie Howe was expecting.
The word patience is an understanding that they're rarely sort of accepted, I think, in, football management, or when you're talking about your team, because people want sort of clarity on where you are. They want to know sort of whether you're good or bad, and in the middle isn't accepted. But I think for me, we were well aware going into this season it was going to be different for us because of everything that happened in the summer. We hadn't recruited in so many windows, and then suddenly we recruit 6 players. That's very, very different to how we had been working historically, apart from our first window. And with that becomes that change. Then we'd been so used to working with the same group of players, working one way, but a lot of those players, or some of those players, had left. And then we go into a new season with no pre-season and no training time with them. So I think that's very difficult, and it has ended up being inconsistent and a little bit up and down. Don't get me wrong, I think we could have done better, and that there's certainly things that we can improve, but I think longer term we'd be better for it if we can work through this season and this period. I think the biggest thing is find a clear identity and a clear way of playing, and we can see sort of what the future looks like with this team, and if it's positive, then that could be a great thing. So I think we have a duty to try and do that. All we ask from everybody on the outside is that there is some understanding, but we understand that we're under pressure as well, and we have to try and win while doing it.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That's Eddie Howe's perspective on where Newcastle United are at the moment in what hasn't necessarily been the season that many were hoping for, but it could still be another special and successful one. But he's given some of the reasons why it hasn't been smooth sailing there. But at the end, acknowledging that even though there are many challenges, they still have to get results. Do you think what he said there is fair enough? And do you think that even though there's been a lot of frustration and I think, well, a lot of criticism, particularly on social media in recent weeks, do you think that there will be that level of understanding that he talked about and seems to be hoping for?
No, not really.
Fair enough.
I think emotions run high, don't they, at the end of football matches, and people say things, and it's a heat of the moment sort of reaction. Look, he's been in the game a long time, Eddie Howe. You know, he knows that from a manager's point of view, it's a results-driven business, and managers have to win football matches. You know, if they don't win football matches, they're going to come in for criticism. They're going to be looked at the sides that they pick, at the players they pick, at the way that they play, the way that they set the team up. If it goes well, yeah, great, brilliant. You know, everything's rosy in the garden, and manager got it right. If it doesn't go right, manager got it wrong, and he picked the wrong team, and we had the wrong shape. But this just isn't at this football club. This is at every football club. You know, because as I say, managers are. They all know that at the end of the day it comes down to winning football matches, and they win them, they're great. If they don't win them, they get criticised, and that's parcel of the job.
Progress in the FA Cup, though, would keep the good feeling that's been around and been back since the win at Spurs on Tuesday, would keep it going, wouldn't it? And we'll find out whether they can do that tonight here on BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. The 4th round of the competition, Aston Villa against Newcastle United, live from 5:45. More from Eddie Howe on the way ahead of kick-off, but let's find out a little bit more about what else has been happening today, including in the FA Cup, with all the details. Here's Colin White.
Thank you very much, Matthew and John. We'll be back with those two very shortly. Let's start, shall we then, with the FA Cup, as Matthew says. The games that have finished, and there is still one going on, even though it kicked off at 3 o'clock because it's gone to extra time. I'll come to that in a moment. The early game today saw West Ham eventually win 1-0 away at Burton Albion. Crescencio Somerville with the goal in the 5th minute of extra time. West Ham also then had Freddie Potts sent off 6 minutes later in extra time, but they held on to win 1-0 away from home and avoid a shock. Burnley, though, could not avoid a shock. For a long time, they were 1-0 up up on Mansfield Town of League One, but then conceded twice in the second half, and that is how it finished. Burnley won, Mansfield 2. Rhys Oates and Louis Reed from Mansfield taking the League One side through. No such shock at the Etihad though. Manchester City beat Salford City 2-0, an own goal after 6 minutes, and then Mark Gahey making sure 10 minutes from the end. Norwich beat West Bromwich Albion by 3-1. Josh Madger, formerly of Sunderland, scoring West Brom's goal, but Norwich scored twice in the last 10 minutes to see themselves through to the last 16, and the game that's gone to extra time and has still got about 8 minutes left. Southampton now 2-1 up on Leicester City. They were 1-0 up at half time, a Kyle Larin penalty. Oliver Skipp equalised for Leicester early in the second half. It went to extra time. These two sides, who you may remember, played each other in midweek in the Championship. Leicester were 3-0 up and managed to lose 4-3. Southampton now leading this one as well, 2-1. They scored a couple of minutes ago and still 7 or 8 minutes left in extra time. As Matthew's just told you, Aston Villa Newcastle a 5:45 kickoff, and 8 o'clock tonight is Liverpool against Brighton. In the Championship today then, Derby County beat Swansea by 2-0. Brewster and Adjumang in the second half. Sheffield United scored in the 90th minute to win 1-0 at Portsmouth. Preston 2, Watford 2. Blackburn, who have a new manager, Michael O'Neill, won 3-1 away at Queen's Park Rangers, and Millwall won 2-1 away at Sheffield Wednesday. They've gone third. Macaulay Langstaff, formerly of Newcastle and Gateshead, getting Millwall's winner. In League One, Reading beat Wickham 3-2, a Marriott hat-trick there. Stevenage beat Huddersfield 1-0. Barnsley 3, AFC Wimbledon 3. They were 2-0 up and then 3-2 down in that one, where Barnsley. Plymouth won 4-0 away at Blackpool. Bradford City 2, Peterborough 0. Cardiff, the leaders, beat Luton 3-1. That was a half-time score as well. Exeter against Northampton finished goalless. Doncaster against Port Vale was called off. It finished Lincoln 1, Bolton 1. And in League 2, Cheltenham drew 0-0 at Barnet. Barrow beat Colchester by a goal. That was a long trip home for Colchester fans. Bromley 1, Notts County 1. Notts County holding on, had a man sent off with 10 minutes to go. Kel Watts, formerly of Newcastle, scored. The winners, Cambridge United, beat Bristol Rovers 3-1. Chesterfield drew 1-1 with Harrogate despite playing the last half hour with 10 men. Crewe beat Gillingham 1-0. MK Dons scored in the first minute, and that was the only goal as they beat Newport County 1-0. Oldham 1, Fleetwood 1. Shrewsbury beat Swindon Town 3-1. And Tranmere were 2-0 winners over Crawley. In the National League, Gateshead still looking for a first win since the beginning of November. It is now 15 defeats in a row. They lost 2-1 at home to Brackley today. Mark Beck got one back for them with 10 minutes to go with a header, but they couldn't get any points at all. Hartlepool's game against Sutton United was called off. But just not that it's of local relevance, but Scunthorpe 3, Boston United 6 was one of the games in the National League today. York City won 3-0 at Wealdstone. South Shields game at Kings Lynn Town was called off yesterday, so Paul Dixon, our non-league reporter, was on Northern Premier League Premier Division duty. Top of the table, Hebburn Town at home to third place FC United of Manchester, and that is where he sent this report from.
The full-time score, Hebburn Town 1, FC United of Manchester 1. A really heavy pitch this afternoon, which made good football really difficult. Referee made an early inspection past the game, and it was FC Manchester who took the lead on 27 minutes. Jay Fitzmartin picked the ball up on the left, advanced and curled a right foot shot into the roof of the net. The ball going over the head of Hebburn keeper Dan Cameron. 1-0 to the visitors. 37 minutes, Hebburn went close when Liam Murray cut in from the right, and his shot just flew past the post. Very unlucky. But right on half time, Hebburn levelled the score. Liam Murray, edge of the box, fired in a low shot which took a slight deflection, which beat the keeper to make it 1-1 at half time. The second half was a real slog where attacking process was very difficult on this heavy pitch, and both sides defended really, really well. It took to more or less the last kick of the game when substitute Ollie Martin sent the ball into the near post to Gary Martin. His flick shot was saved by the goalkeeper, and that was the closest Hebburn came to get a winner in the second half. But both teams played exceptionally well, and it keeps Hebburn top of the league. The full-time score, Hebburn Town 1, FC United of Manchester 1.
We will get more from Paul Dixon and from the Hebburn boss Daniel Moore at half-time in the Newcastle game. Also in that division, Morpeth, I'm afraid, lost 4-0 at home to Warrington Rylands. And also of note as far as Hebburn are concerned, because they're doing battle with Hennesford at the top of the table. Hennesford lost 5-0 at Hyde United, who are down in 18th in the table today. So it means that Hebburn go a point clear. It becomes a better point today that they won. They go a point clear with a game in hand as well. Only 2 games involving our teams survived the weather in the East Division today. Blythe Spartans were on course for a great point away at Emley until the 95th minute when they conceded. So it finished Emley 1, Blythe Spartans 0. Ashington won 2-0 away at North Ferriby, and boy did they need that. North Ferriby with a man sent off inside 15 minutes, but Louis Burns and then Liam Wotherspoon towards the tail end of the second half. So Ashington, big 2-0 win for them away at North Ferriby. And just to round out the football, a reminder, if you didn't know, Sunderland women's game against Nottingham Forest in Women's Super League 2 tomorrow is off. It failed a pitch inspection this morning. To rugby union then, earlier on today, Ireland came from behind to beat Italy by 20 points to 13 in Dublin. It's at half time at Murrayfield, and Scotland lead England by 24 points to 10. 3 tries from Hugh Jones, Jamie Ritchie and Ben White, all converted by Finn Russell, who scored a penalty as well. England with 1 try through Henry Arundel, who has also been sent off, shown 2 separate yellow cards. His second yellow card, therefore, a 20-minute red card, which means he cannot come back onto the pitch, but England can replace him after 20 minutes. That's the half-time score, is 24-10. It's the first day of the UK Indoor Athletics Championships in Birmingham. We've got 2 Gateshead Harriers into the final of the women's 60 metres, which takes place in about 10 minutes' time, actually, the final. Joy Eza, who we potentially expected to be in that final, but someone I don't think we did, the 15-year-old Celine Obina Allo, also in that final from Gateshead Harriers. We will let you know how they both get on later. In cricket at the Men's T20 World Cup, England beat Scotland in the first of the old enemy clashes today by 5 wickets in Kolkata in Group C, chasing down 153 runs, which was their target. In 18.2 overs, it did look a little bit wobbly at times, but they got there in the end. Ireland beat Oman by 96 runs in Colombo, so they could still qualify for the Super 8s. And at the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina, Team GB's men's curling team beat the Czech Republic 7-4. The women beat Canada, the world champions, 7-6. The women will play Sweden tonight as well, still in the round-robin stages of those. As we speak, it's the third run of the women's skeleton. Amelia Coltman, Tabby Stucker and Freya Tarbett all in that. And later on, Kirsty Muir looking to qualify for the final of the Big Air freestyle skiing event as well. All the action on the iPlayer and on BBC 1 and 2 this evening. Right then, we are just under 15 minutes away from kick-off at Villa Park. Aston Villa against Newcastle United in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Here to take you through the rest of the build-up and the whole of the first half, Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Valentine's this weekend, we're talking dating disasters. Mags is on the phone, and yours happened when you got taken out for a Chinese, yeah?
He said, you fancy going out? And I said, oh yeah. Tell you what, take you out for a nice meal. I says, oh, lovely. At the end of the night, he went, oh dear, I forgot my card. He went, well, you got paid today.
No.
I couldn't believe it. My cost is nearly £60 on my wages.
Oh, Max, 60 quid.
Every time I think of spring rolls, I couldn't believe it.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport North East.
The FA Cup.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Thank you very much to Colin White, and live at Villa Park now, building up to the FA Cup 4th round tie against Aston Villa. Newcastle's players have made their way back into the changing room along the tunnel just to our left in the corner. Villa on their way off the pitch. Always one of the best atmospheres, isn't it, John Anderson? Villa Park, one of the noisiest grounds that we're lucky enough to come to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a proper old ground, isn't it? Talk about them redeveloping it, but yeah, when it's full, there's a real good atmosphere in it. They make real good noise, and hopefully that'll be the case again tonight, Razor.
Ramsdale in goal, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall at the back, Tonali and Ramsey in the middle, Murphy, Voltemada, Barnes and Osula up top. A bench of Pope, Ruddy, Gordon, Ilanga, Willock, Alex Murphy, Shahar, Neve and Sung Soo. Jacob Ramsey, it's taken him a little while to find his feet at Newcastle following that summer move from Aston Villa, but Eddie Howe thinks the winning goal at Spurs after another strong performance was a significant moment for the 24-year-old midfielder.
It can never be underestimated how difficult that is for any player to leave a club that you've been associated with for so long, and then you've got to feel that immediate identity with your new team, and sometimes that takes longer for some people than others, and I'm not saying that was the case with Jacob, because I don't know sort of how he felt deep down, but certainly that the first few weeks and the first few games you play can be difficult for a new team, especially if it's a slightly different way of playing and a slightly different position for him. He had a lot to take in. I've got to say he's done it all with real professionalism. There have been no issues with him. He's worked really hard at his game. He's been very conscientious. He's been really good around the training ground. I have to say, I think he's settled in really well with his teammates. He's got really good friendship groups and looks really happy. But there's nothing better than actually contributing and helping your team win a game. There's no better way to feel part of the Newcastle family than that, and I think that will be a big turning point for him, hopefully.
Ando, you like Jacob Ramsey, you were a fan of his before Newcastle signed him. It is there a big shift and a big change for him psychologically as well, leaving the club that he supports and came through the academy at to very proudly wear their claret and blue colours, but we are seeing more and more from him in a Newcastle shirt now, aren't we? You'd agree with that?
Yeah, look, I said don't judge him till you see him have a run of games. He's starting to get a run of games. I thought he was excellent at Spurs in midweek. Scored a really good goal as well, but not just the goal, his overall game was excellent, and I think since he's got in, he's got better game by game. It's a big game for him tonight. You know, he was at Villa from being a young boy. He may well want to come back here and prove one or two wrong. And you hope he has his shooting boots on. But he'll be relishing playing against Villa tonight. He'll be looking forward to that.
Aston Villa have brought out the fire-breathing machines that are...
Wish they'd leave them on.
I know, it's much appreciated in the
plenty of heat coming out of
the current climate, literally the weather on a cold night in the West Midlands. The pre-match hype video and loud public address system getting even more noise from the Aston Villa supporters. The away section for Newcastle tonight is huge. Because you get more tickets for a cup tie. They've got here just over 6,000 fans, which is fantastic backing, isn't it? They're on the far side. They put some of them behind the goal to the left as well, haven't they, in that upper tier where home fans would normally reside.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty down, there's no doubt about it. Nice to see them behind the goal as well. Always feels a little bit strange when teams are on one side or the other side of the pitch. You like to see away fans behind the goal so they can hopefully celebrate.
St James's Park is one of the grounds. Stadium of Light is another, where away fans are up high. Newcastle have got reasons why they haven't had to move them, but they used to be in the corner, didn't they?
Yeah.
East stand at St James's before the redevelopment. Definitely adds to the atmosphere when away fans are closer to the pitch, I think. But Newcastle, an away section that's spread out, so different sections tonight at Villa Park, hoping to watch their team get into the fifth round of the FA Cup. That's as far as they got last season. Fifth round, Brighton were the side that knocked them out. That was a disappointing one, with the extra time defeat at St James's when they thought they'd won it late, when Fabian Schär scored, but it was ruled out for offside. Quarter-final a couple of seasons ago, but a run that was ended typically by Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium, and they also had the two defeats by Cambridge and Sheffield Wednesday, so eliminated by lower league sides. They haven't, Ando, just before we hear from Eddie Howe on this, they haven't done as well in the FA Cup as they have in the League Cup under Eddie Howe in his 4 and a bit years in charge.
It's been strange, hasn't it? You know, I said earlier on that League Cup's been really good to us. You know, got the 2 finals, semi-finals, quarter-finals. Obviously won it, but the FA Cup's been a different one, hasn't it? It's been a strange one, as you say, knocked out by 2 lower league clubs. It'd be nice to have a run in the FA Cup. you know, it may not mean as much to people as it once did, you know, but it's still a big competition, biggest competition in this country, that's for sure. And it would be nice to get a run in it. I'm sure Eddie Howe would love to get a run in it as well.
Yeah, well, given his record in the FA Cup with Newcastle United, he would this season like to go much further.
Yeah, we'd love to have one. I mean, I think get asked a lot about the cup competitions. I think I was asked the other night about our attitude to it, and our attitude won't change. We'll try and win the next game, and that's Aston Villa away. Really tough draw, maybe not the draw we wanted, but it's a competition we want to try and do well in. We enjoyed our run last year, disappointed to exit when we did, so the aim is to go as far as we can. We are here to try and win. Said so many times, we loved the last year in the Carabao Cup and what that meant to everybody, what that meant to us, the experience we went through to win the competition, and we'd love to do it in any other way that we can, and that's if that's the FA Cup, then that would be a great opportunity for us. And we've then got, of course, a long travel midweek back into the Champions League, but we'll worry about that when we get there. All focus and all eyes are on this game.
Big hugs in the tunnel for Jacob Ramsey from some of his former Villa teammates. Kieran Trippier and Luca Digne, right back and a left back, have the captain's armbands this evening, and now they are making their way towards the pitch, led out by referee Chris Kavanagh, who's from Lancashire. He was at Sunderland Liverpool the other night. His last Newcastle game was the home leg of the League Cup semi-final against Manchester City last month. Gary Bezic and Nick Greenhalgh are the assistants, and Paul Tierney is the fourth official. And do you know who the VAR is tonight?
No.
There's no one.
Oh, there's not. There's no VAR, is there?
Yeah.
Ridiculous, you know, because if you've got it, you might as well use it. I mean, it comes in, I'm not too sure if it's quarterfinals or semi-finals in the FA Cup, but either use it or you don't use it.
Fifth round onwards, so the next stage. Obviously, it was silly. Well, it was VAR that chalked off the goal from Cher against Brighton last season in the fifth round, but they don't have it in rounds 3 or 4 or earlier, obviously. The semi-automated offside technology comes into effect and it will be in operation from round 5 as well, but they do have the goal line technology in use in this tie and in the fourth round. The two sets of players tap hands across the halfway line. Aston Villa with 7 changes, including a different goalkeeper, Marco Bizot, who they signed from Brest in France last summer. He also played in round 3 when they won at Spurs by 2-1. At the back for Aston Villa, Lamar Bogaard, the Dutch under-21 international. Victor Lindelof, who joined as a free agent in the summer after leaving Man United. Pau Torres and Luca Digne. Amadou Onana and Douglas Luiz. Morgan Rogers, Ross Barkley, who's recently back from injury, and Leon Bailey, who returned from a half-season loan with Roma last month, and Tammy Abraham. He's in his second spell at Aston Villa. He was with Roma, who loaned him to Besiktas in Turkey. Besiktas activated their buy option, so they signed him permanently and then sold him to Aston Villa quite quickly. But Abraham, 28 years of age, England international, he leads the line for Villa tonight. On the bench, goalkeeper Martinez, Konsa, Mings, Buendia, Watkins, Andres Garcia, Sancho, Maatsen and Kone. And here's how Newcastle United look. Ramsdale in goal, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Tonali, Ramsey, Murphy, Barnes, Baltamada, and Osula leading the line. Big night for William Osula. Aston Villa, one of the clubs that have been interested in him, and there's a market for his signature. Frankfurt have been keen. Villa were mentioned last summer, I think last month as well. There was talk that he could fetch around £30 million, but he's a Newcastle player. He needs to perform for them tonight, not worry about interest from elsewhere.
No, he's got to go and he's got to play for himself. He's got to go and put a performance in. just got back from injury, was out quite a while. He didn't get a lot of game time prior to that. So yeah, big opportunity for the boy tonight.
On the bench, 2 goalkeepers, Pope and Ruddy, Gordon, Elanga, Willock, Alex Murphy, Shahar, Neve, Sung Soo. 5th round draw is on Monday, ahead of Macclesfield against Brentford, non-league against Premier League. This is all Premier League, and it's one of the hardest all Premier League clashes that Newcastle could have been given. Aston Villa 3rd in the league, away from home at a ground where United don't have a great record, but a big reward. Progress in the FA Cup if they can win tonight. And we're underway on BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app, as well as Newcastle United's website and app. Villa play it back to the goalkeeper, Osula, with his lightning pace closing down. Almost nicked it off Bizot, but Villa send it forwards. Lewis Hall intercepts, and then another ball up to the edge of the area by Villa. Chow makes a block, Abraham with a header on, and Bailey trying to get in, but into the arms of Ramsdale from the goal line. It was a pull back from Bailey rather than a shot, but both teams starting at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, good break by Villa, wasn't it?
Barnes with a header, Hall making a forward run, he's taking it down well. Murphy on the far side, Hall edge of the area. It's a clean challenge from Onana to win the ball. Voltemada then takes it back from him, but that's a foul by the Newcastle man. Free kick awarded to Aston Villa.
Lively start from both sides, isn't it? Yeah, good tackle, wasn't it? And then Voltemada just pushes him over.
Ball back in play at the feet of Bizot. It's too high and too long for Rodgers. Chow jumped out of the way of it as well. Abraham takes it away from Byrne, but out of play. Jacob Ramsey back to Malik Chow. He's got his right wrist and hand strapped up. Ramsdale, his 14th appearance for the club. Out to Hall, up the line on the far side. Barnes chasing. Lindelof back to the goalkeeper, who's wearing yellow. Villa, claret and blue shirts, white shorts, light blue socks. Ramsdale in pink with white and red gloves and boots. And a reminder, Newcastle's outfield players, green shirts, white shorts, green socks. Officials all in black. 0-0. Amadou Onana back to Victor Lindelof. Great noise from the travelling Newcastle fans as Bizot looks for Abraham. Dan Byrne at a good position, heads it out to Barnes on halfway, far side. Free kick given for the challenge on the Newcastle winger, and Tanali takes a quick free kick, and Barnes goes up the line for Tanali's run, about level with the penalty area, left side. Tanali shifts it, then rolls it to Voltemada, edge of the area. Looked for Murphy, but it's blocked, and Barkley in midfield for Aston Villa, out to Bailey on the far touchline. They're coming backwards with it, Villa, but still have possession. Bogard to Lindelof. Murphy closes down Bizot. He lifts it into midfield. Barkley flicks on. Abraham on to Bailey. And over halfway, taking on Lewis Hall. He's quickly on Bailey, but Newcastle get numbers back. They stop his run, and it's played inside now with Douglas Luiz. On to Abraham, flicked out to the far touchline. Bogard keeps it in. Douglas Luiz at walking pace. Right side of central midfield. He's lost it to Voltemada and then dragged him down. It's going to be a yellow card in the 4th minute. Nick Voltemada.
That's just sloppy.
He got a sniff of the ball. Douglas Luiz allowed him to pinch it and then committed the foul, Lando.
Yeah, just being sloppy, just being lazy. He pays the penalty with a yellow card.
Voltemada, Eddie Howe talked about this yesterday at his pre-match press conference. Played as a midfielder, central midfielder, because of injuries and substitutions the other night when he came on. He's got the deeper role this evening, so we might see him maybe do a bit more of that. Interesting to see if he does, if that's going to suit his game. Here's the free kick from Ramsdale, headed down by Villa. Ramsey to Trippier. His ball out wide is blocked. And it's with Rodgers. Trippier, good challenge on halfway. Made amends. Rodgers slow to get to his feet, but it's no foul. Here's Voltemada holding it up from Ramsey's pass. Gives it wide to Murphy. Trippier on the outside. Rodgers is back up but limping. Jacob Murphy finds Trippier inside now. Ramsey edge of the area. Ramsey sidesteps his man. Still going, but is challenged right on the edge of the penalty box. And Villa up to Abraham. Flicks it with the outside of his right boot around to Rodgers on the left wing.
Nothing wrong with him now, is there?
Just going to say he's moving fine. He chips it towards the middle. Chow heads away. Tammy Abraham now finds Leon Bailey. Newcastle, Chow and Hall stand up and make a big block. Villa still have it in the final third. 0-0. Douglas Luiz to Amadou Onana. They've given it away. They were looking for Barkley. Voltemada on. Osula gets there first before Lindelof holds it up. Murphy now to Trippier. Pushed up to Voltemada, facing his own goal. Back to Chow. And wide to Barnes. They're coming back with it. Chow's got it. Alec Chow's at left centre-back. Dan Burn is right centre-back at the moment. Tonali in the middle of the two. Gets it from Ramsdale. Out to Burn. And inside to the goalkeeper, who's 10 yards up from the edge of the penalty box. Got out of that situation quite well. Newcastle approaching halfway now. And here's Chow onto Ramsey. He's picked up a good position and feeds Trippier, who's got space and time on the right-hand side. Trippier's chipped cross. Voltemada flicks on. Barnes keeps it alive. Still in the penalty area, wide of the posts. Back to Ramsey, who has a touch. It's taken off him. It's come out to Trippier, 20 yards from goal. He's hit it against Tonali. Villa have got it back. And Lindelof brings it away, does well. Rodgers dispossessed by Burn, though. Newcastle 0-0. Strong enough start, I'd say. And carrying a threat when they go forwards.
Yeah, it's been an open game. Both sides getting forwards when they can.
Tonali with Osula making a run in behind. Gives it short to Trippier. Here's Hall. He's got Barnes up the left wing. That's where it goes. 30 to 35 yards out to Voltemada. Linking up the play. Nick Voltemada. Bit of a free roll, isn't it? Here's Murphy. They've come over to the near touchline. They're shooting towards the right. United in the first half. Chow to Burn. On to Voltemada. Got a bit of room here just behind the halfway line. Ramsey making another good run. He's picking up lots of space, Jacob Ramsey, isn't he, in the middle? Trippier on the diagonal. Good ball. Shifts it over to the left to Barnes. Down on his chest. In he comes off the touchline. Barnes with a long-range effort that goes well wide.
That one wide, didn't he? Opened up for him. Good switch of play, Trippier. Barnes drifts in off that left side. Only had the one thought in mind to get a shot away, but unfortunately just pulled the neck off it, pulled it well wide.
That's the sort of thing that will have to hit the net if he is to impress Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, who is here tonight, having, according to Steve Clarke, the Scotland boss, turned down the chance to switch his allegiance to Scotland. He's played once for England, but it was in a friendly in 2020. So he could switch if he wanted to, because it wasn't a competitive appearance, but he wants to be an England player. He's still Newcastle's top scorer this season, although he hasn't scored in any of his last six before tonight. 0-0 in the 9th minute in the FA Cup. Voltemada and Tonali almost lose it on the far side. Burn with his right, it's high ball. Trippier heads on looking for Murphy, who takes it down and then just lifts it up towards the Villa penalty area, headed away by Pau Torres, on by Ramsey and collected now by Bizot. Osula edge of the area, and as he comes close, Bizot picks it up. And now it's rolled out underarm to the right to Lindelof, who drops his shoulder and gives it away to Malik Chow, forwards towards Voltemada, trying to bring it down. He has brought it down well and held off the defender. Jacob Murphy here to Trippier. 30 yards from goal. Up the line for Murphy's run. Tries to deliver across. And, well, it's stayed in. It's bounced in the box. Barnes has got his head to it. Villa able to bring it clear. Now through Bailey. Inside to Douglas Luiz, dispossessed by Hall. Voltemada skips past a couple of challenges. Barkley tries to bring him down. Voltemada is holding them off and holding it up well. Something he's been criticised for recently, isn't it? The sort of physical stuff and holding off defenders. He's done brilliantly there. And now Trippier onto Murphy, who is
he
offside.
did well. Good upper body strength.
It's 10 minutes of one game, but when you see that, I think it just confirms the feeling that his best position will be deeper. Villa playing it out and short and taking a risk, but it's a good ball by Douglas Luiz across the back to Lindelof, and he's almost at halfway. In fact, Lindelof's now in Newcastle's half. Inside to Barkley, next to the centre circle. Rodgers. This is dangerous. Abraham's gone offside. It's instead played left to Lucadinha towards the back post. Ramsdale puts his arms up.
Keeper's ball all night.
Takes it well, and here's Ramsey. Jacob Murphy making a run over halfway. They play it to Trippier. Osula thinking about bending his run. Trippier tries to find him. Pau Torres wins the header. And Onana back to Lindelof. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 0 in the fourth round of the FA Cup. On the BBC Sounds app, just search for BBC Radio Newcastle to listen to our commentary there. And the ball still with Aston Villa. Centre circle, Douglas Luiz, who has already been yellow carded for a foul on Nick Voltemada. 6 changes tonight. And a different formation as well. Although when they are without the ball, they're dropping back into a 4-5-1.
Well,
Newcastle. And they are without the ball at the moment. Onana, the giant midfielder, has a couple of touches before playing it back to Lindelof, halfway line. Pau Torres inside to Douglas Luiz. Tonali forces Villa backwards. Osula puts pressure on Lindelof. He rolls it square, and Onana gave Voltemada a sight of the ball, but he gets away. Then he plays it against Ramsey. Lindelof's header. Onana with Ramsey at his back, manages to find a teammate. 13th minute now at Villa Park. Here's Douglas Luiz to the feet of Abraham, and Chow was late there, trying to pinch it from Barkley. Aston Villa free kick about 30 yards out in a central position.
Yeah, he just nicked it away from him, didn't he? Abraham's one just round the corner.
Ross Barkley
looks a little bit too far out for a shot, mate.
Yeah, he's walked away from the free kick. It's with Morgan Rodgers, who's scored some belters this season, hasn't he, from long range, but this would have to be something spectacular. The wall is at the front of the D, and there are players lining up on the edge of the box. Douglas Luiz is next to Rodgers, who walks back from the ball. Douglas Luiz instead clips it in. Abraham might be offside. He's taken it down and put it in, and there's no flag. Aston Villa have scored. Newcastle look at each other. The goal will stand. It was one that seemed to be lined up for a Rodgers long-range strike, but instead it was a clever dink over the top by Douglas Luiz, and Tammy Abraham, Aston Villa's new signing, has scored his first goal since returning to the club. Brought it down, sent it past Aaron Ramsdale. 14th minute, Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 0. Looks offside to me.
It's one of them games where you wish VAR was here.
Yeah. It's gone in off Dan Burn, I think, as he took it on the turn. Might have hit his arm, or was it shoulder?
No, I didn't get on it at all,
No.
I don't think.
Well, Newcastle had made a decent start, but they're behind, Ando.
Yeah, it's been open, hasn't it? The game has been open. It's been so stretched. Both teams getting forward when they can.
Well, if VAR was in operation tonight, they would have taken a really close look at that. It's one of those where, again, it depends on how the line is drawn, doesn't it? But it seemed like he was, at a glance, seemed like he was ahead of the last defender when the ball was played. The semi-automated offside technology that, oh, hang on, Newcastle have got it back in the box. They could get themselves level here, but that's a wild effort.
Gone out for a throw-in
from Osula from the left side of the penalty area at an angle. It's a good position. Needed more quality than that, though.
Just a little bit. Hasn't even gone wide. It's gone out for a throw-in.
You think about the Joe Willock disallowed goal at Spurs. The front of his head was offside. There's a 5 centimetre tolerance level. And then that Villa goal, you would have wanted VAR to be able to take a look, but it's not there. Edge of the area, Osula making a nuisance of himself, but it's brought down by Lindelof. And Bailey plays it to Bogard, gets it back over halfway, far side of the pitch. Lewis Hall makes a challenge, Newcastle regain possession. Aston Villa lead 1-0. You're on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Lots of time to come back into it, though. Ramsdale, ball. Edge of the D. That's a long pass up the pitch. Luca Digne has won the header from Trippier. And Morgan Rogers has got away from a couple of challengers and is driving forwards. Voltemade pulling him back. Rogers to Barkley. Bailey in the area, right side. Bailey's cut back. Abraham blocked. Voltemade against Hall and cleared. Villa with a couple of shouts for handball in there, but nothing given. And no VAR, so we play on. Bailey back to Bogard, and Bailey again, the Jamaican international. Onana plays it to Lindelof, the two centre-backs, furthest outfield players back for Villa. Pau Torres chips it into the area for Luca Digne. The pull back to Barkley. Shot into the ground and up into the hands of Ramsdale.
Yeah, he looks rusty, doesn't he, Barkley? Little ball lifted in behind. Digne's got on his bike. Good pull back. Just hit the left foot shot into the ground.
Here's Jacob Ramsey. Back to Sandro Tonali. They find themselves 1-0 down. Hall to Barnes. Fouled on halfway. Tonali is down tying his lace. Abraham needs treatment. Or does he? Yes, he does. The medical staff are waved on. Sitting down, the Villa goal scorer. We're about to see the goal again, Ando. Oh, he's definitely offside. There's 3 of them offside, or ahead of the last defender when the ball's played. He took it on his chest, and Byrne came in round the side as Ramsdale advanced. Abraham was able to play it beyond the goalkeeper. Offside or not, could they have dealt with it better?
Yeah, just switched off, didn't they? I think they expected the shot. It's just dinked over the top and didn't really react to it, did we?
Abraham will have to go off. He's been receiving treatment. Ollie Watkins is warming up. Scorer of their late second goal at St James's Park last month in the league. Abraham should be all right. Seems to be shaking off whatever knock he has taken. 20 minutes gone, Villa lead 1-0. Malik Chow.
Good switch.
Looks for Barnes, finds him, brought down on his thigh. Barnes to the feet of Voltemada. It's turned well. Still got it, Voltemada.
Did well.
Found the feet of Trippier. Voltemada's continued his run, right side of the penalty area, near to the line. Comes back to Murphy. Comes inside with it, Jacob Murphy, then gives it to Tonali. Trippier stays out wide. He gets it. Could have been a chance to deliver. Instead, rolls it into Murphy. His cutback is blocked, and it hit Murphy. Villa then give it away to Ramsey, who's been dispossessed by Rodgers, and now Digne to Pau Torres. Swings it clear. Dan Burn on halfway. Abraham back on. Here's Burn again, square to Hall, up to Barnes. In behind, Osula making the run, Lindelof stretching. Slides it over to the far touchline, and Bogard can't keep it in. So it's a United throw. Back to Burn on halfway, and then inside it comes to Chow. Goes back to Burn. Closed down, up to Voltemada. Got it on the far left side of the pitch with Hall. Burn receives the ball once more. Barnes has got a bit of space up the line, now onto Voltemada. Flick back to Barnes, it's a good move. Still Harvey Barnes, beats a couple of challenges. Good ball to find Trippier. First time pass to Murphy in the area. Has to come back to Trippier. Now he delivers a cross, looking for Voltemada, flicked away by Villa. Lewis Hall brings it down. Hall under a challenge, hits the floor, nothing given. He gets straight back up though, no appeals.
No chance.
And Villa win a free kick in midfield.
Never a penalty. Maybe it was.
Take us through it again. It was Lindelof. Did he get a toe on the ball though? Just inside the box as Hall went on the outside.
Would have been looked at, wouldn't it?
You can take back all the mean things we've said about VAR for the last, 7 years?
No.
Well, if they've been
makes it more interesting, doesn't it?
Well, the Abraham goal would surely have been disallowed. They might have looked at that, although I think Lindelof did get the ball first before any connection with Lewis Hall, but then we haven't seen all the angles that VAR would have available to them. They're 1-0 down, up to Osula. Can't hold it and slips. And Pau Torres back to Bizot. Towards Rodgers, headed away by Chow in the Aston Villa half. Douglas Luiz got 2 green shirts on him. Up the line to Abraham. Burn makes a challenge. Abraham's got it again.
Did well.
And Abraham's tall and strong player, isn't he? So physically up against Burn. That'll be an interesting battle. Dan Burn has now fouled him next to the halfway line, and the whistle goes from Chris Kavanagh. Now in behind, looking for Barkley.
Well played.
Sandro Tonali.
Well played.
Great defending from Tonali.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. They tried to take it quick. Tried to get in over the top. He's defended that really well, Tonali.
This is Barnes to Voltemada. Rolled back to Burn. Newcastle trail 1-0. Ramsdale in goal. Trippier, Chow, Burn, Hall, Tonali, Ramsey, Murphy, Barnes, Voltemada and Osula. 6 changes to the team. Nobody back from injury. Wissa has a knock, not in the squad. Botman rested tonight, also not with United, but the likes of Gordon, Elanga, Willock on the bench. Villa made 7 changes, and Tammy Abraham has them in front. Here's Chow, on to Trippier. Murphy trying to hold his position and not go offside. Trippier's ball towards him is blocked. He's got it again, Kieran Trippier. Nothing on. Inside to Chow. It's close to Abraham.
No.
Just Chow didn't seem to react quickly. Osula slipped again. Fired up towards him by Byrne. He didn't get anywhere near it, he just fell over.
Yeah.
Rogers on his chest, holding off Chow, who tries to bring him down. Gets a yellow card.
Just got too tight to him, didn't he? Just rolled him, didn't he?
Referee getting some stick, as I'm sure the assistant on the far side, Nick Greenhalgh, will be as well, for not spotting the offside for the Villa goal. This free kick is next to the centre circle. And they made a lively enough start before Aston Villa took the lead. But they haven't had any attempts on goal, have they? Osula had the shot that went out for a throw. Barnes has won it back in the corner from Bailey, but his ball up the line to find Osula didn't give the centre forward a chance.
It's amazing, isn't it? Every time they get tackled and lose the ball, everybody goes down, don't they?
That was Bailey. Now he's back up, trying to get involved in the game again. Chow beats Rogers in the air. Header onto Barnes. Villa have got it back. Bailey, who's absolutely fine. Surprise, surprise. Into midfield to Douglas Luiz. Now Digne. Curling cross. Header wide from Leon Bailey in the middle of the penalty area.
Yeah, he got nothing on it, did he? Even if it had been on target, Ramsdale's just going to grab that. Tucked his head in.
It's completely free, mind.
Yeah,
made
tucked his head in, didn't he?
Unchecked run. 27 minutes played. Ramsdale. A long goal kick over to the far left side. Voltemada is there, looking to get on the end of it. And he's headed it down to Ramsey. Osula, no offside. William Osula still with it. Looking for Ramsey, but it's intercepted. And it's back to Bizot. Abraham wins the header. Barkley and Douglas Luiz tidies up deep in midfield. I think we know the strengths that Osula have are his speed and his work rate, and the fact he can force errors, pressure he can put under defenders, but sometimes you just want a bit more technique, don't you? Here's Ramsey from Voltemada's pass. Jacob Ramsey taking it into the box and goes down. Referee waves away Newcastle's appeals, and Ramsey helped to his feet as Bizot claims the ball.
No real appeals, is there? No appeals at all, actually.
Well, Voltemada and a couple of others looked at the referee, but he waved it away straight away, didn't he, Chris Cameron?
No appeals, no real appeals.
Here's Osula. He's giving it away
again.
That's what I mean. You just want a bit more quality, don't you? And you want to see that side of the game from him. Newcastle win it back.
But if he hasn't got it, he hasn't got it.
Trippier completely free, screaming for the ball. Tonali finds him. Osula in the middle, but the ball doesn't come in. It's Trippier back to Tonali. Now inside to Chow. About 35 yards out. They go to Byrne, front of the centre circle. Chow to Trippier. 1-0 down at Villa Park. Malik Chow with it again, square to Byrne. They were in a decent position there, but any edge from the attack or play that they had has been lost, and now Chow's given it straight to Barkley. Ramsdale was off his line. Barkley thought about the chip from halfway. He's carried it up towards the edge of the box and played it to Abraham on the right in the area. Deflected cross caught by Ramsdale, who did well to get back quickly. Thought Barkley was going to take it on.
Barkley's breathing through he's struggling. he hasn't played many games, and you can see he's blowing half an hour in.
Hall to Tonali, back out wide left for Barnes, just behind halfway. Down Byrne. And now Malik Chow. They're in the Aston Villa half. Murphy runs behind, but he's gone offside. The ball, he wanted it earlier, Murphy, so that he could run onto it. It didn't come. And then he had to get back onside, and Newcastle go to Hall. Barnes making a run in behind Bogard. They found him. Harvey Barnes in the area. Barnes still going. He's gone down, and the referee's given a goal kick. Barnes, with outstretched arms, shouts in the direction of Chris Kavanagh. Eddie Howe goes to fourth official Paul Tierney. That's 3 shouts they've had. Whether any of them are genuine penalty claims, I'm not sure. Going to see the Barnes one again. Bogard, what do you think? Nando? Doesn't get any ball, but is there, how much contact, if any, is there with Barnes? Long ball in behind by Villa. Hall's taken control and roll it back to Ramsdale. Trippier drops in and gets it on the near side, closed down by Rodgers, then he chips it into the middle to Byrne, brought down on the thigh and then up to Hall. Voltemada almost got in his way, but now they're in the attacking half. In behind, Osula makes the run, but it's too close to the goalkeeper in the penalty area and gathered by Bizot. Villa lead 1-0 here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. And a great atmosphere generated by the visiting supporters. As I mentioned a little earlier, I think we were interrupted because of developments on the pitch, but no big chances yet.
No.
For Newcastle.
No, Villa haven't had many either.
Tonali wins the ball back in midfield with a header out to Barnes. Voltemada tried to win it and help it on. Ended up on the floor, nothing given. Then Bailey spins away from Hall, goes out to the touchline, and his ball, which he wanted to get in behind for the run of Rodgers, is blocked by United. Barnes back to Byrne, and over it comes to Trippier on halfway, brought down. Jason Tyndall having a long conversation with the fourth official. Here's Tonali, look to get it to Murphy, it's gone out off Abraham. Trippier with the throw, quickly to Chow. Ramsdale's starting position is in the middle of Newcastle's half. They miss him out and give it to Byrne. Carries it over halfway and then continues his run. Hall up the line to Barnes, but he can't find Byrne, it's blocked. Then it goes out for a Newcastle throw, taken quickly by Barnes, back to Hall. Tonali's dropped in with Byrne up the pitch. And he's passed it to Chow. Byrne for Hall, and Byrne again on halfway. And Tonali looking for Trippier. Long ball to the edge of the area. Header from Rodgers. Trippier is still there. Rodgers has brought it down.
Brilliant.
His own header under control. Taking it into the box. Newcastle got players up there putting pressure on, but Villa passed their way out of trouble. Rodgers still in the penalty area, mind. He's turned again. Gone back to Pau Torres. And Pau Torres has given it away to Chow. Barnes. And gets a return ball from Osula. Barnes. Side netting. Harvey Barnes. Well, that's Newcastle's best chance. Villa gave it away. There was some neat passing in a tight area, then given away to Chow. Barnes to Osula. Good return ball by Osula. And as the keeper came out, Barnes hit the side netting. Maybe should have done better.
Angle was really tight, to be fair to him, though, wasn't it? Really tight angle. Better from Osula.
To be fair to Barnes, he's not missed the frame of the goal, the post, by much at all. But he might have felt that he could have forced Bizot into a save. Just couldn't wrap his boot around it, could he?
No, the angle was tight.
But Osula did well there with the ball. Back through for Barnes that found him. Byrne back to Ramsdale. Up to the feet of Murphy inside. Oh, Murphy's offside.
Good ball and all, wasn't it? Ramsdale drilled along the ground.
Villa leading 1-0. Kieran Trippier getting Newcastle's defence into line, into shape. Free kick for the Murphy offside, near to halfway actually. Has been taken. Bailey away from Hall, who slips. Bailey's through ball, too strong for Abraham. Ramsdale comes and picks it up. 10 minutes to half time. Tammy Abraham with the only goal, suspiciously offside, but no VAR. Murphy makes a run in behind, doesn't get it. Chow to Trippier, back inside to Chow and Trippier again, and they have to go back to Ramsdale. Had a lot of the ball, haven't they? Which isn't always the way when you're a visiting team. Newcastle at Villa Park. Jacob Murphy here, out to Trippier. Short ball inside to Tenali on halfway. Villa 7-time FA Cup winners, Newcastle 6-time winners. 1955 Newcastle's last, 1957 for Villa the last time. Here's Ramsey holding off Douglas Luiz, back to Trippier. Tenali makes himself available. Now Murphy miscontrols and it's out of play. Villa were runners-up 11 years ago and also runners-up in the last final to be played before Wembley was redeveloped. That was in 2000. They lost to Chelsea, who'd beaten Newcastle in the semi-final. Controversially as well. Gus Poyet. Could have been playing each other in that final in the year 2000, but it wasn't to be. 1-0 to the home side tonight. Morgan Rogers, who's had an excellent first half, so good on the ball, turns away from a couple of challenges in midfield, then passes it to Douglas Luiz, and now Villa very much on the attack here, close to the edge of the penalty area with Douglas Luiz. Is lining up a shot just over the top.
Good hit, wasn't it? Never dipping though. Hit the top of the crossbar. Skimmed the crossbar.
No, it hit the...
Oh, it hit the stanchion at the back.
The cord that's keeping the net upright. Goal kick for Ramsdale, 38th minute. Are there signs, Ando, that they can get themselves level before half-time? Or if there are signs, are they strong enough?
They haven't created a great deal, have they?
I don't think Aston Villa look great at the back. Much change back line. Here's Voltemada. Clipping it into space. Trippier on the run. Rogers with him. Trippier makes the challenge. Rogers goes down.
Covered the ground well, didn't he?
Trippier saying to the assistant, Gary Bezic, on the near side, that maybe had a case for a corner. I thought that Villa were going to get a free kick. Should that have been a corner?
Could have been.
Rogers will always win a foot race, won't he? But I mean, an assistant a few yards away can't see that, then it's a bit frustrating, isn't it? Eddie Howe's gone back to the fourth official. Add that to the list of things they're unhappy about in terms of decision making. Here's Pau Torres and now Luca Digne. Villa played on the floor out from the back. Byrne makes a challenge and it's a throw for Unai Emery's team. Lost a couple of Premier League matches here recently to Everton and Brentford. Prior to that, only Crystal Palace in August had come away from Villa Park with a victory. And that was in Villa's bad start when they didn't win for 6 games, didn't score.
I wish Tenali had played further forward, you know.
Is he coming too deep to get it off the centre backs?
Deep into those centre backs.
Chow, that's a great diagonal ball. Hall miscontrols.
You want to see him play further forward. There's no need for him to come back and play in between them two centre-backs.
Chow's good enough, isn't he? Whether it's a long ball like that, OK, Hall couldn't control it, or whether he plays those passes between the lines on the floor to distribute the ball from the back.
Yeah, they need to tell Tonali to play 10 yards further forward.
Newcastle have it back from the Aston Villa throw, trailing 1-0, but then Villa regain possession and play it to the goalkeeper. Osula closing down Bizot next to his post. Onto the head of Chow, and no offside. Osula to Murphy, chance to deliver across. Oh, it's cleared, it was flat and cleared by the first man. Trippier to Tonali. Wide to Murphy again. Just needed more quality on that delivery. They were in a great position. Tonali having a look. Malik Chow, right wing. Inside to Trippier. 35 yards from Villa's goal. Jacob Ramsey needs something. Didn't have any runners. He's turned, come inside and played it to Nick Voltemada. Hall wide left. Voltemada comes back to the right to Trippier, keeping the ball moving, Newcastle. Trippier's pass to Murphy, who was caught late by Luca Digne. Referee's reaching into his pocket, and
it'll be another yellow.
It's a booking for the Aston Villa left back and captain. To be fair, the ball was there to be pinched because it was a bit under hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was under, and he just sold himself, didn't he?
They've got Elanga, Gordon and Willock warming up. Oh, he's caught him with a studs mine on top of the boot. Have a look at that, Ando. I know you often comment on these challenges, and when you slow it down, obviously
they always look worse, don't they?
Yeah, it can, but it's the sort of challenge that you've seen there's been a lot of debate about. I'm not saying it should have been a red, but Murphy, I mean, he's got a cut on his shin.
He's got a cut in his shin. He didn't catch him on top of the boot then, did he?
No, but it's the shin and the boot. I mean, the size of someone's foot. You've got studs all the way along the bottom. It's one of those that's kind of, it seems to have scraped down the leg and onto the top of his boot. Newcastle staff again go to the fourth official. See what I mean?
So it's caught him on the
boot and the side of the shin. I don't think he's meant to do it. But again, if I'm not giving an opinion here, if VAR was there, I think they would have looked at it and we would have been talking about it. But it doesn't matter now because they can't change anything. They've got a free kick. Be a great time to score. 43rd minute, 1-0 down. Trippier to take, about 20 yards out. In it comes, and it's a header that's comfortably claimed by Bizot by his left-hand post. It came off Voltemada, I suppose.
Came off a Villa head, didn't it?
Yeah, Voltemada flicked it onto Lindelof, and then Bizot caught it. So I don't know if it goes down as an attempt on target. Then Osula impeded Bizot and conceded a free kick. Abraham out to Bailey. Just inside Newcastle's half, back into Villa territory. Bailey with a flick out to Douglas Luiz, who tries to find him again. He's made the run. Burns come across and conceded a corner. Didn't dare make the challenge in that position in the box.
Good defending, wasn't it? Read the situation well. Dan Burn didn't dive in, just stood up.
Aston Villa left-footed corner, right-hand side. Everybody's come forwards for it, and everybody in Newcastle green and white has come back. It's flat towards the near side of the 6-yard box. It comes back out to Bailey, puts another flat ball in, and it's come across the penalty area. Onana plays it to Digne. Now Douglas Luiz, another dink ball in behind, and then Dan Burn clears it away from in front of Ramsdale. It's another corner. They're having a go at the assistant referee, I think, Newcastle, who might well have had the opportunity to put the flag up for offside. I've not seen it back. Seemed to be some booing in his direction, Nick Greenhoff. Another Aston Villa corner. Burn was in a good position to clear. 15 seconds remaining in the opening 45, and then the numbers board for the additional time on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Bailey rolls it along the goal line to defender Pau Torres, who beats Lewis Hall, and his cross is pushed away by Newcastle, and it's another Villa corner, although Lewis Hall says that went out of Bailey. Both assistants and the referee are going to get, well, quite a bit of it at half time, I think. They've not had their best night collectively. Here's the corner, nobody on either post. It's curled in, headed away by Newcastle and headed on by Barnes. Villa through Bailey, who slips. Oh, they've got a chance here to break. Trippier in behind. Murphy, it's hit him. Keeper's well out of his goal. Oh, he's taken Murphy down. He's got to be off. He is. Well, a night of decisions that have gone against Newcastle United, and now Marco Bizot for taking Jacob Murphy down well out of his goal. He's at the centre circle, has been red carded. The Aston Villa goalkeeper sent off. They are down to 10 men in first half added on time. There's arguments between players Dan Burn and Douglas Luiz and others. Murphy absolutely clattered by Bizot after Bailey's ball back in wasn't great. Kieran Trippier fired it up the pitch. They had three in the attack. Murphy got there and Bizot took him down. I don't know what he's arguing about. There's no VAR to save him. He's refusing to leave the pitch. He has to go. Murphy taken out by him. It's a clear goal scoring opportunity, even though he's a long way out, and it's a high tackle as well. Villa down to 10 men, still leading 1-0. Well,
can have no complaints. I don't know what he's arguing about. He's just cleaned Murphy out. Doesn't matter whether there's VAR or not, that's a red card all day long.
Well, Aston Villa will have to take an outfield player off. The bad news is they're bringing the best goalkeeper in the world in recent years on in Emiliano Martinez, who made an incredible couple of saves, didn't he, at St James's Park. Aaron Ramsdale gave Bizot a pat on the back. I don't know about you, to be honest. I would rather they just got in and scored and equalised. I mean, they played against 10 men on the opening weekend of the season when Ezri Konsa was sent off, the Villa defender. That was on 66 minutes, and they couldn't break them down. Different players involved tonight, but interesting history repeating itself. Villa reduced to 10 against Newcastle. Today, though, they have the lead, whereas that game finished 0-0. Just wanted them to get in and score. There were three of them. Trippier played it forwards, and Murphy was the one to get on the end of it. And it's Leon Bailey who leaves the pitch, the right winger, and Emiliano Martinez comes on.
Yeah, it was his ball, wasn't it? It was a poor ball. They got caught. They just had so many bodies in advanced areas. They had nobody back.
Not an easy goalkeeper to get the better of, Martinez, and
played well at St James's, didn't he?
Brings with him all sorts of antics, and the Aston Villa crowd love him, as that reception proves. Tanali with a free kick. I missed how much was added on to the first half.
I didn't see.
No. Maybe our studio can tell us. But here are Newcastle in the 49th, now 50th minute, taking a free kick up the line. Tanali to Barnes. Well, he's gone down, Barnes. No free kick. He wants one for the challenge, and the half-time whistle has gone. And although Bizot's been sent off, Chris Kavanagh is surrounded by Newcastle players. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Tindall, who's having a good look in the referee's direction, waits to have a word either. Unai Emery marches off along the tunnel. Jacob Murphy is heading off now, the first Newcastle player to leave the pitch, clattered by Bizot, shown a red card. Trippier in between the assistants, and Barnes there as well, continuing that conversation. Yep, there's Jason Tindall, but he's going to have a word with Sandro Tonali. And now I think he's making his approach towards the referee. He's waiting for him. He'll take a yellow card if that's what he gets. Chris Kavanagh sends him away. They've been absolutely awful, the team of officials, but they got the red card right.
Yeah, got the red card right. Thought the goal was offside, looked offside. No VAR. It's amazing, isn't it, when there's no VAR?
Jason Tindall.
Everybody wants it. When there is VAR, people complain about it.
Jason Tindall talking to Chris Kavanagh. It's a fairly cordial and respectful conversation. The referee's got a bit of a grin on his face. The more I see that challenge from Dina on Murphy, the more you think that if VAR was there, the referee would have been at least sent to the monitor. Now, that can't change, but it's just another one that you add to a long list of decisions. And there were about three in a row on the far side.
It just tells you how reliant referees become on VAR. You know, they make the decisions. He made the decision, it was a yellow card. And even if VAR had been involved, he still would have made that decision, but then he would have been sent to the monitor. VAR's not here, so we can't change that.
Do assistant referees actually give any decisions for tackles or fouls? Because there was one really close to that, and just waits for the referee. To be fair, Chris Kavanagh dealt with it immediately and thought it was a yellow, so he did see it, but maybe he would have needed some help. But even though it's a Premier League ground that has the technology and the capabilities for VAR, and
well, I said this before, and I said, what's the point?
Yeah.
Why haven't they got it? Because it's in place here. If it's here, you might as well use it. Now, if they had have used it, Villa could well be down to 9 men.
Yeah, I think the argument is that it's not available necessarily at all the grounds that host ties at this stage. You know, they won't have it at Macclesfield or Stoke or Grimsby, for example, over the rest of the weekend.
But what difference does that
just
make?
Trying to level it out, level the playing field in that respect. Anyway, they've got to come back and
So say if Macclesfield get to the quarter-finals and they get a home tie, what are they going to do?
Great question. Yeah. Well, it'll have to be installed, won't it? Anyway, just before we hand back to Colin White in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio, Villa 1-0 up at half-time, Ando, an offside goal that couldn't be disallowed because there's no VAR. Newcastle play against 10 men in the second half. They've got an opportunity then with the numerical advantage.
Yeah, we had an opportunity on the day of the season. We couldn't make the best of it. Hopefully we can do that in the second half tonight. They haven't played too badly. You know, some of the stuff they've played has been all right. Villa looked to counter-attack. They'll probably defend deep in the second half, Villa. But yeah, we're still in this game. You know, still plenty of football to be played.
We'll bring you the second half here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Aston Villa down to 10 men, but they lead Newcastle United at the break by a goal to 0.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Valentine's this weekend, we're talking dating disasters. Mags is on the phone, and yours happened when you got taken out for a Chinese, yeah?
He said, you fancy going out? And I said, oh yeah. Tell you what, take you out for a nice meal. I says, oh, lovely. At the end of the night, he went, oh dear, I forgot my card. He went, well, you got paid today.
No!
I couldn't believe it. My cost is nearly £60 on my wages.
Oh, Max, 60 quid.
Every time I think of spring rolls, I couldn't believe it.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
That was an eventful first half. We'll be back with Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson in just under 10 minutes' time for the second, and as I'm sure you know by now, if it is level after 90 minutes extra time, and potentially penalties beckon as well. Elsewhere in the FA Cup today then, none that have gone to penalties, but a couple that went to extra time. Southampton needed an extra half hour to beat Leicester. West Ham needed an extra half hour to win 1-0 away at Burton Albion. Mansfield created the shock of the round so far, winning 2-1 away at Premier League Burnley, 2 divisions between them. Manchester City comfortably beat Salford City 2-0. Norwich were 3-1 winners over West Brom, scored twice in the last 10 minutes. And Liverpool against Brighton is at 8 o'clock. In the Championship, Derby beat Swansea 2-0. Sheffield United 1-0 winners at Portsmouth. Blackburn with a new manager, Michael O'Neill, won 3-1 at Queen's Park Rangers. Millwall have gone third. Macaulay Langstaff, formerly of Newcastle and Gateshead, scoring Millwall's winner. Reading beat Wycombe 3-2 in League One. Barnsley and AFC Wimbledon finished 3-0. Barnsley were 2-1 up and then 3-2 down, but equalised in the 87th minute. Big win for Plymouth away at Blackpool. And Cardiff, the leaders, beat Luton Town by 3-1. In the National League, all sorts of former Sunderland and Newcastle players scoring goals left, right and centre. Will Harris, formerly of Sunderland, scored Halifax's goal as they beat Truro. Cal Roberts scored twice, but Scunthorpe still lost 6-3 at home to Boston United. Mo Sangare, formerly of Newcastle, scored Morecambe's only goal, but they lost 5-1 at Southend. Zach Johnson, who's on loan from Sunderland at York City, scored their second. They scored 3 in the last 20 minutes to win 3-0 away at Wealdstone. But the game that we had been most focused on was Gateshead against Brackley Town, and we'll come back to that in a bit more detail shortly. At half time in the National League, Carlisle 3-0 up away at Forest Green Rovers. Stephen Wern, another former Newcastle/Sunderland player, scoring the first of the goals for Carlisle. But from a non-league point of view, top of the table, Northern Premier League leaders Hebburn were at home to third place FC United of Manchester this afternoon. That's where we sent Paul Dixon, and he's come back. Afternoon, Paul. Evening, Paul, now, isn't it?
Good evening, Paul. Yes, it really is.
It was a difficult game on a difficult pitch, but a good result for Hebburn.
Oh, it was an amazing pitch. It reminded me of the 70s. It reminded me when I played, Colin, to be perfectly honest. But there was 1,056 there, 300 from Manchester, who thoroughly enjoyed the game. Not a lot of goal-mouth incidents, but it was FC Manchester who went ahead. It was a shot that I think the keeper could maybe have touched it over the bar, but it went over his head and in the net, put them 1-0 up. And then right on half time, Hebburn equalised. And you thought, the second half, Hebburn will come and have a go at them, but it was never really that way. There were very little chances in the second half, but both managers were very, very happy with the point that they got, which kept Hebburn top of the league. After the game, I had a quick word with Daniel Moore. Daniel, one's each, but it's enough to keep you top of the league on what can only be described as a very, very heavy, difficult pitch. They've done really well to get the game on, and you just could have nicked it maybe at the end.
Yeah, bit of a throwback that, probably to the 70s. Very hard going pitch for both teams, and I thought both teams dealt well with the conditions, and a draw was a fair result. I thought you could see two teams just going at each other for 90 minutes, and probably half chance. There weren't many chances in the game, to be fair, but we got last 15-20 minutes, I thought we'd kicked on a little bit and we were looking for that winner, but didn't quite go. But point was more than fair, I think, over the game.
Top of the league, and they're a good side. They're third in the league, but the result went for you today because the opposition of getting beat 5-0. Crowd here today, right behind Hebburn, as there was 300 come up from Manchester. There was a crowd of 1,052. Great atmosphere, wasn't it?
Yeah, great. Best atmosphere of the season, that. Brilliant. Fair play to their fans as well. I thought they were outstanding, but Al's backed us. You could hear them pushing the lads on towards the end. And the lads have been on empty. Let's not forget, we've been to Warrington, down Liverpool Saturday, come back, had to recover quickly, travel to Birmingham on Tuesday night, come back, and then go again today on a very heavy pitch with lads having jobs. So, I'm really pleased with the atmosphere, because I think that's probably got the lads through them last 20 minutes.
And do you think you can do it, Bob? I mean, we're well into the second half now of the season. You've got a great squad. You've got the fans behind you. Can you do it?
I've said to the players after Tuesday, I said, you know what? I feel like we've managed them really well this year, the squad, looking after them, and fitness-wise, we did a lot pre-season, hours, and we did a lot of double sessions here, which people don't see. And I think that's starting to pay dividends for them, but I've put it on them. I think we've put them in a position that they're not going to get any fitter. You know, they understand how we're playing. It's how much do they want it? And I've said to them, let's just enjoy what we're doing. You know, there's no pressure on them. If, you know, it's on them what they want to do, and I'll just help them along the way. And I've said to them, be really proud of what they're doing and keep being proud.
A good week it has been. 3 1-0 draws in a row, but against the teams 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the division, and they're a point clear at the top of the table because Hennisford were beaten 5-0 at Hyde United this afternoon, so a point clear with a game in hand are Hebburn. Morpeth lost 4-0 at home to Warrington Rylands. In the East Division, Blythe Spartans a 1-0 defeat at Emley, a 95th minute winner for Emley. Ashington, though, good win, needed the points, 2-0 at North Ferriby, a couple of goals in the second half, their first win since Christmas for Ashington, but it was a 16th defeat in a row in all competitions for Gateshead this afternoon, beaten 2-1 at home by fellow relegation battlers Brackley. There was a Mark Beck header in the 79th minute, but it didn't count for anything in the end. I'll talk to Paul about it in just a moment, but let's hear first from the manager, Rob Elliott. He's been speaking to Mark Carruthers.
Rob, it feels to me like that was basically the opening 20-25 minutes has cost you the game.
Yeah, you're exactly spot on. I spoke to the lads about a start that we needed to make sure we start the game well, be solid and defend the box. No, we let ourselves down in the first 5 minutes from a set piece, and we've done the same again. And then, second phase, we told them, they get the ball wide, they put it in the box, they slowed, they killed the game, which they did. Fair play to them. They're on a good run and they did brilliantly well. But yeah, it's frustrating because before we can get into the game, we're out of it, if that makes sense. And I thought the lads reacted well. The substitutes again, brilliant. And obviously could have scored 3-4 at the end, but just that little bit of quality time and some brilliant defending and goalkeeping, and it wasn't to be. But it's just one of them ones where I think we have to, we really have to look at ourselves and understand that what it takes over 90 minutes to win football matches. And like I said to the boys there, the first 15 minutes isn't acceptable for us in this situation that we're in. So we need to earn the right in the first 15-20 minutes, and then we can build into games and get control. So yeah, disappointing. Obviously loads of positives and improvements, but still disappointing because we need to get points and we want to get points.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know at times you try to look at the bigger picture, but the immediate picture is the fact that we're still bottom of the league. This run of defeats has gone on and been extended by today, but you still sound positive. Is that the message you're trying to give to supporters as much as your players?
Yeah, well, if you're prioritising it, of course you want to win games of football, but I think there's bigger things that need to change at this football club. I spoke about in my interview, new training grounds, that real connection with the academy, the development of staff off the pitch. Obviously how thin we are and bare bones we are, and it's about getting the club back to being stable, getting the club being able to compete and be able to survive, to be honest with you. So yes, as much as there's lots of work on the pitch, and I'm pleased with the players we brought in, I am. Yes, I'd like to add more, if I'm being honest, and I'd like to develop the players that are here as well. Obviously there's players that need minutes. Dom, for example, it's good to see him back on the pitch. Chappie, I didn't get 20-30 minutes. Joe Grayson, Kent's back after a long time. Radders hadn't played for ages, so 2 games, it was a bit of a risk, but I know the type of lad he is, he'll get through. So yeah, we just need to manage that and make sure we're back where we need to be in terms of what the club is as a whole, not just on the pitch. And again, the reception of the fans after the game was brilliant. So pleased with them and proud of them, and they were pleased and proud with the boys. But we've got to give ourselves a chance. That's really what we've got to do. We've got to give ourselves a chance in the first 15-20, and then the football will come and all those things.
Is there a chance of any players coming in?
Potentially, but it has to be the right people and the right players who understand what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. So look, I don't think it's a case that we need to go out and get loads of players in. I really like the players we've got here, and I think they're proving that they can definitely compete and they're strong enough to do it. But I do also think that we need time, and we also need understanding of what needs to be done in the short term and then what can be done in the long term.
Rob Elliott there talking to Mark Carruthers. Just briefly, Paul, there is a lot of work to do, but on the pitch it's about picking up points. I know it sounds daft, but when you've lost 16 games in a row, you just need to not lose the next one.
Well, that's right. I mean, the position that they're in, the rock bottom, as you would say. I mean, they have got games in hand, but it's 4 go down, Colin. Yeah. And that's the honesty of it. And they've got to finish 5th bottom, and if that's called success, well, it will be for Rob. I think if you can keep them up. I mean, Rob's talking about more stuff that's to come, but they've got to win games.
That's all that matters. Thank you very much to Paul Dixon. Time to tell you, Scotland beat England 31-20 in the Six Nations. Ireland beat Italy 2013 earlier on, but Newcastle United are a goal down at half-time against Aston Villa, playing against 10 men though. The second half coming up with Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
Players lining up on the edge of the box. Douglas Luiz is next to Rogers, who walks back from the ball. Douglas Luiz instead clips it in. Abraham might be offside. He's taken it down and put it in. And there's no flag. Aston Villa have scored. Newcastle look at each other. The goal will stand.
Total Sport North East.
The FA Cup.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
So 1-0 down Newcastle United, but significantly at the end of the first half, Villa reduced to 10 men with goalkeeper Marco Bizot sent off for bringing down Jacob Murphy next to the centre circle as Newcastle sent the ball forwards quickly. Got up the pitch with Villa committed following an attacking free kick. Straight red card, no VAR. A team of officials that are coming in for some strong criticism and analysis for their decisions in the first half. The goal should not have stood, it was offside. There were other decisions. The Luca Digne challenge on Jacob Murphy, which the referee in fairness did see and felt was only a yellow. And maybe that is up for debate whether it should have been a red, but perhaps in the VAR world it could have been. Anyway, Villa have 10. They have had a player sent off. No changes at half time. Martinez on for Bailey in the Villa change. Newcastle on the attack from the kickoff. Ramsey in the area wins a corner after 10 seconds of the second half. Enthusiastic response from the away fans on the far side as Lewis Hall goes across to take it. They're shooting towards the goal at the left. And they've got fans on the far side of the pitch, in the corner and at the upper tier behind the goal. Aston Villa lead 1-0. Let's see how quickly they can get back into it, if they can get back into it. Hall with a short corner to Tonali. Lewis Hall gets it back, edge of the area, plays it to Barnes. First time shot deflects off Abraham, and Martinez prevents a corner by landing on the ball well wide of his goal. Newcastle, Ramsdale, Trippier, Chow, who's on a yellow card, Byrne and Hall, Tonali, Ramsey, Murphy, Barnes, Voltemada and Osula up front. No Wissa, he's got a knock. Botman is rested. Bench of Pope, Ruddy, Gordon, Elanga, Willock, Alex Murphy, Shahar, Neve, Sung Soo. Newcastle win it back from Villa in midfield, and it's Hall who's then been dispossessed by Abraham. Rodgers, that's rare from Rodgers, giving it away. Murphy's offside, and the assistant referee is getting pelters from the away fans because he saw that one. Mind you, he was a mile offside, and more offside than Abraham was, but you know, even though it's
right in front of us, isn't it?
It's an absolute state, offside or onside. You can still be more offside than someone else within that, I think. You know what I mean? But they've got a big opportunity, John Anderson, but they've got to get back into it and score the next goal.
Yeah, definitely.
Lindelof up to Rodgers, and more sarcastic cheers because they've spotted an offside against Aston Villa. Free kick taken. They're finding quite a bit of space here with the extra man. Newcastle. Trippier's pass to Murphy's cut out by Digne, and it's a Villa throw. They line up with Martinez now in goal, Bogard, Lindelof, Pau Torres, Digne, Onana, Douglas Luiz, Rodgers, Barkley and Abraham. Gordon, Elanga and Willock warming up. It's a matter of time surely before we see them.
Yeah, I think we'll see Gordon soon. Might see Elanga as well.
Aston Villa leading 1-0, 3 minutes gone in the second half. Out for a throw for the home team, just inside Newcastle territory, far side. Green and white away kit, Villa in claret and light blue. Obviously, playing against 10 does change things, but in the sense of Newcastle's approach tactically, what needs to change? Is it the Tonali situation that you highlighted earlier? Does he have to just play 10
more
yards
so
further
now
forwards?
when they're down to 10 men?
Yeah. Because you were saying he was too deep. He was
too deep. There's no need for him to be that deep. You want him to play 15 yards further forward. He's coming in between the two centre backs when there's no need, and there's most definitely no need to do it now when they're down to 10 men.
Villa with the ball, and it goes out. Rodgers under pressure from Tonali. BBC Radio Newcastle, and we're also on the BBC Sounds app tonight. If you have a smart speaker, ask it to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Trippier plays it. Osula made a run. I don't think he was looking. Villa now get a free kick in their half of the pitch. 15 yards up from the edge of the box. It's not coming together when Osula's involved, unfortunately, apart from the one time that he slipped Barnes in.
Yeah, he's been sloppy on the ball. He's given it away. Needs to get it into his body. Needs to get a grip with it.
Back to Martinez. Ramsey closes down. Osula puts Lindelof under pressure. The experienced defender turns. Villa and then lose it. Tonali helping it forwards, edge of the area. Cleared, and then Lewis Hall wins it back from Morgan Rodgers and wins a free kick. Newcastle getting a couple of decisions, much to the annoyance of the home fans. Trippier out to Murphy, nobody in the box. Now they move. The ball caught by Martinez. It was too close to the keeper with Osula and Barnes more towards the back post. Still Gordon, Elanga and Willock warm up. Newcastle look shouting at the referee, saying Martinez had it for too long. Eventually he releases it, then he gets it straight back. A driven ball up the pitch. Abraham helps it on. Dan Burn ducked out of the way, and Aaron Ramsdale behind him takes a touch and then passes it out left-footed to Kieran Trippier. He's played with good energy tonight, Trippier, been up and down after a strong performance at Spurs from the 35-year-old. Burn to Hall, and now Barnes, closed down by Bogard. Hall goes on the outside, Barnes finds him in the corner, first time cross. Villa through Digne, head clear. Tonali heads it back towards Barnes. Barnes knocks it between players, but he's adjudged to have dived here, and he's going to get a yellow card. And I don't necessarily think that's the wrong decision, because he went looking for it.
Yeah, he's laughing as well, isn't he? He knows.
And that's a disappointment. Kind of overhit the touch, didn't he, when he knocked it between defenders. Maybe that was why he threw himself down. Lent into Bogard, but not enough for a free kick, and now he's put himself on a yellow card. He's not been at his most effective tonight, Harvey Barnes, in front of England manager Thomas Tuchel. More importantly for Newcastle United, their top scorer. He's had a couple of attempts, one well wide and one into the side netting. Barkley away from a couple of challenges, but then misses Abraham and puts it out. United throw taken quickly. Hall back to Burn. Unai Emery pacing the technical area. Eddie Howe pitch side as well. Here's Murphy from Trippier's pass. They are now back to halfway with Chow. 53rd minute. Still 1-0 down, but playing against 10 men of Aston Villa. Hall. A little bit of space here. Doesn't put the cross in. Plays it to Tonali. Gets it back. Barnes stays on side. Can't get past Barkley, who got his foot in and diverted the ball away. Barnes to Hall. Voltemada free in the centre. Barnes gives it to him. Voltemada has lost it to Rodgers and then won it back just about, and makes up for the error. Now Tonali in behind. It's asking a lot of Trippier. Goal kick. Good run by Trippier.
Yeah,
clever idea.
Yeah, right ball as well. It just got away from him, didn't it? Just skidded away.
Martinez sends his Villa colleagues up the pitch towards halfway. Byrne with the header, Murphy with a header on, Osula heads it up, tries to get another touch on the ball. To be fair, he has, and he's found Ramsey, who comes away with it across midfield. Well played, Jacob Ramsey. Now Lewis Hall onto Harvey Barnes, slightly behind him. Barnes takes it forwards, edge of the area. Barnes laid off to Tonali. Villa get bodies back and just block off all the space. The league game was like this, wasn't it, when they had 10 into the area now towards Ramsey, but behind. Ramsey shouts at the assistant referee. He says that should have been a corner. Goal kick is the decision. Ramsey gets a yellow card for dissent. It's hard to tell, but Ramsey was adamant. Substitutes. They got Joe Willock talking to Jadon Sancho, Anthony Gordon speaking to Ezri Konsa. Here are Villa up the pitch. Dan Byrne prevents a corner. It's a throw 20 yards out. So relaxed enough on the touchline. Elanga was talking to Sancho earlier. Two former Man United players. Newcastle 10 minutes into the second half haven't been able to find a way back into the FA Cup tie yet. Here's Rodgers away from Hall. And block challenge from Byrne. Voltemada, massive clearance. And Pau Torres holding William Osula. Victor Lindelof wins the header. It's back towards Torres. Osula putting pressure on. Back to Martinez, who'll deal with it with a calm pass out to Lindelof. Back towards his own goal. Osula, plenty of willing and plenty of pace as well. Martinez along the goal line. And cleared and put out of play. Well, that's the best Osula can do, just put the pressure on, and at least it's ended up in an Aston Villa error and then a Newcastle error. Jacob Ramsey's overhit through ball for Tonali's run, goal kick. There hasn't been enough quality.
No, not in that final third. Needs to change it, doesn't he?
Trying to get a message across the pitch anyhow. Ramsey's looking in the direction of the bench, and maybe for him. Still haven't had another Barnes ever hit the side netting, although your initial analysis was that it was a difficult angle, which the replay showed. Haven't had a big chance, have they yet? Villa have a player down in the middle. Newcastle attack. Trippier onto Murphy. Villa still with a player down. Murphy dispossessed by Abraham, and now Onana. And it's Rodgers. He sees that Villa are on the attack and manages to pick himself up. Onana into the corner on the left. He's gone down. He's won a free kick. And Chris Kavanagh is surrounded by Newcastle players again. Well, we need to see that one again. Both teams are angry with the officials. I think Morgan Rodgers landed awkwardly rather than Dan Byrne in the challenge hurting him. They'll be desperate to get out of Villa Park and away from here tonight, because they're getting it from both sides.
Yeah, Ramsey just landed awkwardly. There was nothing in it. And then Murphy just gets caught in two minds, gives it away. And Nana's got nothing on. He just breaks into the corner.
Well, they have an extra player in Newcastle with Villa down to 10. 59 minutes, but they cannot concede a second goal and go 2-0 behind. Here's the free kick headed back across the box by Newcastle. It isn't clear, and it's Pau Torres to Ross Barkley on the far touchline, the left wing. Barkley back to Lindelof. And with Osula on his shoulder, he's turned and gone back to Martinez. Long from the goalkeeper, nobody there in Villa colours, straight through to Ramsdale. Lewis Hall. They have to score the next goal, and ideally soon. Hall's through ball cut out. Newcastle win it back. Tonali to Barnes. Back inside to Tonali. Here's Ramsey. Trippier on the outside. Ramsey takes a touch, passes it to Trippier. Makes his way into the box. Tonali gets in instead. Close to the edge of the area. And it's between Trippier and Murphy. What is going on?
It's been a total lack of quality from both sides, hasn't it?
This is where they struggle. I know Villa have attacked as well, countered. They can't break teams down like this. They're better when it's a buzzword, isn't it? Transitional. When it's a counter-attacking game, when it's end-to-end. Jacob Murphy's won it back when it's open like it was at the start. It's a criticism levelled at them. They've got to find a way. They've got to try and be creative and clever. Barnes comes in off the left wing. There's Voltemada. He can be creative and clever. He's held the ball up and done well to play it to Trippier. A couple of touches. Then the cross. They want handball for something. What are they going to get? Whistle's gone. Free kick. Oh, well, they can't believe. Are they saying it should be penalty? Now the referee is going to the corner of the penalty box and putting down the spray, and Dan Burn is flinging his arms around. Jacob Ramsey's got to be careful. He's on a yellow card. Kieran Trippier's put his hands on his head. He's laughing at the referee. They're saying that was in the box. They've gone across to the assistant referee, Newcastle. It's a million miles so far in the box. They've been absolutely shambolic. They've been embarrassingly bad, these officials. I mean, it's not even close. You don't want to start a pile-on on referees because it's hard enough, as is being an assistant referee. But I cannot remember collectively an officiating performance that has been as dismal as this.
His arms are up here.
This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it's not even close. What is the assistant referee there for if he can't see that and advise Chris Kavanagh?
When did he ever advise referees on anything?
Man. Well, the PGMOL are going to have serious questions to answer. Whether Newcastle come back and win this or not, it doesn't change what's happened tonight. Free kick on the corner of the box when it should have been handball penalty because it was inside. They can right that wrong by scoring from this. Trippier's delivery. Goalkeeper palms it down. Barnes leaves it. Tonali hits it. It's in! Well, there's justice served because they've equalised, and Sandro Tonali has his first goal of the season, and it's got the officials off the hook. They've been awful. Newcastle haven't been great, but playing against the 10 men of Aston Villa, they're back in it. It's 1-1. And the most relieved men should be the referee and his assistants. But Tonali celebrates the goal. Martinez clawed the free kick away, and on the edge of the area, the Italian hit it first time into the net, maybe off a deflection. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 1.
Well, justice was done because it should have been a penalty. It's taken a huge deflection, by the way.
Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz hits him on the backside.
Jacob Murphy off, Anthony Elanga on. Anthony Gordon is about to join him on the pitch, replacing William Osula. 63 minutes, the time of the goal from Tonali, who had one taken away from him in the Champions League. You remember in Belgium against Union Saint-Gilloise when his shot was flicked in by Voltemada. Although that one took a deflection off Douglas Luiz, it was on target, so it's his goal. Has to be his goal. and it's 1-1. Gordon at centre forward, Elanga on the right wing. Game on now, Ando.
Yeah, and justice was done. I mean, it should have been a penalty kick.
Oh, the ball ran for Gordon. Newcastle were about to attack, and a late whistle for an Aston Villa free kick with Onana rolling around.
Yeah, it's getting a bit feisty now, all right.
Anyone can have a bad game. We can have a bad game. Sometimes we're told that we do. It is tough, but officials don't help themselves either.
See, this is the problem when you get Premier League referees refereeing games when no VAR in. They become so reliant on VAR because they're hearing everything in their ear.
But when it's so obvious, like the Villa goal, which was offside.
But it's not obvious to them anymore, Razor, because they're so reliant on VAR.
Just think, whether you think it's handball against Lucadinho, which they did, how can an assistant referee who's 10 yards away not see that he's in the box?
When do assistant referees ever get involved? Have you ever seen assistant referees get involved?
Well, not for a long time. Villa have made changes. Ollie Watkins has come on, and so too has Emiliano Buendia. They're bringing on goals and big players. Ross Barkley and Tammy Abraham have gone off. And with the atmosphere from the Newcastle supporters, it's like a home game. Their tails are up. They've got 11 to Villa's 10, and it's 1-1 here on BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. And after just the frantic nature of the second half around that free kick, the non-penalty, the goal, all the issues with the officiating, maybe a period of calm, we'll see. Villa throw into the box from the left, headed away by United. A Villa header, then back into the middle. Chow clears, it's gone out for a throw 20 yards out, Villa left wing. Looking forward to seeing what Gordon and Elanga can do. And it's a front three that functioned well with Barnes in the attack. Here's Ramsey with a header to Elanga, who's managed to turn. Villa have got it back, lifted forwards. They want Ramsdale to come, and eventually he does. Sprints out of his goal, started the run late, but then got there, picked it up. Big throw out to Lewis Hall. Newcastle up to halfway, now in the Aston Villa half. On to Barnes. Thinking about what to do. Barnes turns, he's got Tonali with him. Tonali's passes behind Hall. Villa getting one another's way. Voltemada, Tonali looking for Barnes. Here's Voltemada in the area. It's cleared out by Pau Torres. Newcastle throw.
Villa all over the place. I mean, they tackled each other.
Well, that was exciting, but it just didn't land correctly for Newcastle. Lewis Hall preparing to take a long throw by the looks of it. Dan Burns gone front post. Chow in the middle, Voltemada there. Here it comes. Headed up by Chow. Voltemada heads back. Buendia away. Trippier has played it against Watkins, and then Watkins has fouled Trippier. Referee had to think about it.
He's a lucky boy, Trippier.
Nearly didn't give it. Watkins would have been one-on-one and would have had the entire Newcastle half to run into. Here's Elanga running towards the corner, gets through, a challenge, Ramsey's cross, cleared away from in front of goal. Gordon just wide, corner. Anthony Gordon a whisker away from putting Newcastle in front.
Good ball played in, Elanga. Ramsey does well. Ooh, Tinch just passed. Hits it well.
Lindelof flicked it behind. They have the momentum. 1-1 on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Here's the corner. The away fans, they're sensing that a second goal is coming against 10-man Aston Villa. Trippier's corner. Barnes makes a run along the goal line. Could have gone short. Lewis Hall is staying back just in case there's a counter-attack. Dan Burn now has pushed an Aston Villa player to the floor. That's the allegation anyway. Pau Torres gave him a push in the chest, and Pau Torres is holding his neck. Was Burns' hand that high?
Every time they get touched, they just go down. It's embarrassing. It really is.
Well, they've patched things up, those two, and it's okay now. Burns apologising. Pau Torres seems to accept it. Well, they've got hands on each other. Referee's keeping an eye on it. There's so much to watch as well. It is difficult. Now Burns being dragged down, maybe. In comes the corner, headed behind for another one on the far side. Dan Burns having a word at the referee. Is there enough in that? Or it's the sort of thing that happens at every corner kick, but did he have a case?
They don't give them though, do they? And they don't give them when VAR's involved either.
Now Unai Emery's having a word with the fourth official. Newcastle are involved in the conversation as well. Outswinging corner from the right. It's come to Tonali, edge of the area again. Down for Barnes. Back to Tonali. Lifted in. Too high for Burn.
Unlucky.
It's the four young players who are warming up. Shahar, Neve, Murphy and Sung Soo.
Cold night, mind.
We've still got Joe Willock on the bench. Newcastle, 20 minutes to play. Remember, if it's level at the end of the 90, 30 minutes of extra time will be played. And we could have a penalty shootout like the third round tie against Bournemouth. Ramsey and Tonali, and out to Trippier, still in their own half, on to Ramsey. Onana makes an important block. It's out for a United ball. Lewis Hall's got space. Barnes onto Hall, carried on his run. Gordon in the middle, so too Voltemada, who's come short over to the near side. It's inside to Tonali. They miss out Voltemada. Back to Chow. Trippier, good position, could stick it in. He does. Onana's header. Villa need his height, especially with Voltemada in there for United. Back to Burn on halfway. And now Hall, keeping the pressure on. Good intensity, isn't there? High tempo from Newcastle, trying to get in front. 1-1, Barnes running at Bogard, comes in off the left wing, turns and rolls it up the line to Hall, who's onside, held his line well. Back to Tonali, Trippier, once it played out to the right wing. Chow is going to hit it. No, thought about it, played it to Trippier, into the box to Elanga. Tries to go around the defender, gets tackled and it's cleared out for a throw. 30 yards out, Trippier picks up the ball. Chow had two openings there, didn't he, John Anderson?
Thought about it twice, didn't he?
Burn to Hall. Barnes taking on Bogard, step over, goes on the outside, great ball in at the back post. Elanga can't get there. Trippier.
Whoa!
It's been a while since he scored.
Yeah, I've seen the headlines. Just lashed it.
And his wait for a goal goes on. Barnes did well. Don't think he does enough of that, does he? Step over outside the defender and cross. It was a great ball into a really dangerous area. Gordon couldn't get it. Elanga coming in likewise, and Trippier hit it from the far side of the penalty area. 74th minute. Eddie Howe applauding his players as Martinez prepares to take the goal kick. Are you backing the Mando to win it in 90? Villa up to Rodgers. Hall's got it. Goes through a crowd of players. He's beaten 3 of them. And now in behind is Elanga. Oh, he slipped. Elanga has slipped. Anthony Elanga has slipped when he would have been able to go one-on-one with Martinez. Villa up the pitch, but it's out for a Newcastle throw. Osula kept slipping in the first half at the other end. But remember the opening day when he went in one-on-one against Bizot at the other end of Villa Park, the Holt end, and he had the effort saved. It was great play by Lewis Hall, though. And they've worked it to the left wing following the throw on the right in midfield. Voltemada with a chance to create something. He's played it to Tonali. Trippier wants the ball. It's headed down by Lucadinha. Elanga's got it 12 yards out. 2 players with him. Inside to Ramsey. Back out wide to Trippier. Onto Elanga. First time cross to the near post. Behind from Pau Torres. It's going to be more Villa changes. Jadon Sancho, Ian Maatsen are both there with Unai Emery. Newcastle with 15 to play, trying to get in front for the first time tonight. Here's the corner. Barnes header across the box. Oh, he got up so well. Dan Burn recycles it. Tonali lifts it back in. Villa header clear. It's bouncing for Douglas Luiz, who takes it out to the far touchline and out of play. Elanga quickly taken, throw to Ramsey, down for Trippier. There is a sense of urgency about Newcastle United, and credit to them. They are playing with determination. Elanga to Ramsey, tries to get the return ball. Lucadinha straight to Trippier, who has a touch, floats in the cross. Bogart's header.
Oh, to Pudu.
Dan Burn, Sandro Tonali, oh, what a goal! Sandro Tonali, what a hit! Tonali from range into the bottom corner, and a Tonali double has turned it around in the FA Cup at Villa Park. 1-0 down, 2-1 up against 10 men. Tonali's first goals of the season. What a strike! That arrowed into the bottom corner past Martinez. It's got to be a good shot. It's got to be accurate to beat Martinez. It's brilliant from Tonali, and Newcastle United might well be heading into the 5th round, trailing at half-time, but up against 10 men. They've managed not just to pull themselves level, but to turn around this tie. Sandro Tonali in the 77th minute. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 2.
Bogart's header's into a bad area, and it's just recycled. It's laid into the path of Tonali, has one touch, and he drills it into that corner. Keeper's got no chance. He's played further forward this half. He hasn't been getting in between centre backs, and that's where you want to see him.
Substitution for Aston Villa, 21, Dougie Luiz.
Maybe someone was listening to you in the first half.
19, Jadon Sancho.
Always wondered why they wear earpieces. Should be a manager. But especially against 10 men, doesn't need to be as deep as you were saying. But even 11 v 11, you didn't want him coming to get it off the centre backs.
No, definitely not. You want to see him play further forward. You've got to have confidence in your centre backs that they can deal with that.
Villa have kicked off. Joe Willock is going to be coming on. Newcastle have got the ball back. Voltemada with a little drag back and beats a couple of challenges, plays it to Hall. This could get better for Newcastle. Hall's cross, almost an own goal. The header from Pau Torres. Voltemada was close, and Pau Torres was just behind him and just in front of Gordon. It's a corner kick. Villa have made a change. They've made 2 actually. They've brought on Maatsen and Sancho. Trying to work out who went off. It was during Ramsey. The celebrations. Rodgers is off. And the other one, I'll find out for you in a second. We were following.
Douglas Luiz.
Thank you. Here's the corner, short. Trippier looked for Gordon. They've given it away. Villa have kept players up the pitch, so Newcastle have had to get bodies back in behind for Maatsen. But Ramsdale comes to the edge of the area to pick it up. And a big throw out to Elanga. It's been an exciting game. Here's Elanga just using all of that speed that he's got. He knocks it around Luca Digne, who can only put it out for a throw. 11 minutes of normal time remaining. Here comes Joe Willock for Newcastle United, and he's coming on for Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey's told to go off on the near side. He wants to just run across the pitch.
Substitution for Newcastle United.
Saluted by the Newcastle fans, I'm sure.
Number 28, Joseph Willock.
The Villa supporters will give him some appreciation, though their main concern will be that Newcastle have turned it around and that their team, Villa, heading out of the FA Cup. Ramsey applauds the fans behind the goal. Didn't really get the chance to say goodbye. I'm sure that'll mean a lot to him, the response from Villa's supporters as Newcastle take the throw. Trippier to Elanga, back again. Pau Torres clearance. BBC Radio Newcastle. You can also listen to the final part of the game on the BBC Sounds app. You can get our coverage there, or if you have a smart speaker, ask it to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Villa trying to break, but the through ball from Maatsen isn't great. He's a left back playing in midfield. I'm not really sure what formation Villa have got at the moment, but they have 10 men. Remember, here's Barnes to Gordon up the left wing. Gordon, nice turn inside and finds some space for himself, and back to Hall. Ramsey being applauded as he makes his way in front of us, along towards the bench. We sit quite close to the box and the goal that Newcastle are attacking. That's why we had such a good view of the Villa goal in the first half that was offside. We were in line with it. Here's Elanga to Willock. It's behind Voltemada, and now Hall. 9 minutes of normal time to play. Voltemada on to Barnes. Elanga's run offside. Barnes has kept hold of possession. Back to Willock. And a curling pass back to Chow. Turns away from Maatsen. Finds some more space for himself, Chow. Gordon on the right to Trippier. Gets it back. A third goal would surely kill it off, John Anderson.
Oh, most definitely. They've had all the ball in this second half.
Willock back to Byrne. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 2. From a goal down at half-time, Willock, the Magpies lead. Here's Elanga on the left wing, back through for Willock, who wins a throw next to the corner flag. Home supporters will have feared this happening, and they've been stunned into near enough silence. Voltemada and Buendia with some verbals, a bit of a spat. Referee has separated them. 5'8" and 6'7" there. Voltemada and Buendia. Hall with the throw. Byrne holds it up, and here's Barnes with a shot. Didn't really travel very far. It was blocked. Willock and Elanga trying to win it from Watkins, who's held on to possession, played it to Digne, and Pau Torres square to Lindelof. Buendia back to Lindelof, who'd actually slipped but managed to pick himself up to get the return pass. And space for Digne in Newcastle's half, just inside their half. Inside now to Jadon Sancho, on loan from Man United. 2-1 to Newcastle. Maatsen to Digne. A crossing opportunity for Villa. Digne doesn't put it in. He's got Maatsen on the outside, 20 yards from the goal. Now Sancho taking on Elanga, comes inside, has a try. Oh, Malik Chow in front of goal, blocks it, and it goes up and behind for a Villa corner.
Oh, just as well he got something on that. Chow, good hit. looks like it's bending back in, doesn't it? Ramsdale was already on his way.
He might have had it covered, but you never know. Just went up from Chow and fortunately dropped behind. 84th minute, 2-1 they lead. If it's level though at the end of the 90, it's extra time, which neither team will want. Villa out swinging corner. Pau Torres heads across. Chow heads away. Now can they get it clearing up the pitch? Newcastle on by Elanga. Villa forwards. Trippier away. Elanga straight at Bogard when they had Willock in the middle, available and ready to run. Voltemada making a challenge on Sancho, stopping the flow of the Villa play. Maatsen here, wide left to Digne, inside to Buendia, and they've got Digne on it again. He lifts in across, taken down by Watkins and tackled by Chow, who clears the danger as far as Sancho, 25 yards from goal. Digne's through ball, rolls in, Buendia, it's another corner. Tonali, who could be the match winner, now doing some important defending.
Yeah, good defending. Worked it well, Villa, but he just got across, got himself in a good area, didn't he?
2-1 to Newcastle United. Another corner to defend. With the runners and the pace they've got, if it drops and they get it clear, they could be away, they could be in behind. Here's the corner kick, it's headed out, and then Trippier, well, he got it away, but he's volleyed it behind, and that's not what he intended to do, and he apologises. Villa have a corner on the near side. They're coming across to the right hand side to take it. Short corner, Digne to Sancho. Trippier and Elanga are there. Sancho goes for the goal line, now into the box. Back to Digne. It's on his left, on the right. Headed out there by Byrne. Tonali chases after it. Villa have a 2-on-1 there on the left. Now they send it back in. They're looking for Watkins, but it's a goal kick.
Poor ball played in, wasn't it? Didn't give Watkins much chance.
Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 2. Remember, you can listen to us on BBC Sounds, catch the end of the game, and a bit of analysis from Ando at full time, assuming we don't have extra time and penalties. Newcastle 2-1 up. There's a header from Voltemada. Barnes helps it on. Gordon trying to run in behind Lindelof. Back to the goalkeeper. Gordon chases the back pass. Martinez lifts it away. Header on there by Watkins. Maatsen makes the run beyond. Chow's header to Trippier. Back towards Ramsdale. Not the best back pass he's ever received, but he's dealt with it well. Back out to Trippier. Looking up the line for Willock. And it's gone out for a Villa throw. They've taken it quickly. Watkins in the corner. Far left-hand side. Back to Digne. Away by Tonali. And it's Elanga who's got it, and Elanga runs, and he's got Gordon through the middle, and Barnes making a run as well. Elanga, can he play the right pass? Barnes takes it on, it's a heavy touch, but he's got it. Harvey Barnes in the penalty area, tackled by Bogard, and Watkins had come back to defend. He's in his own box. With a pass out from the back. Voltemada! Nick Voltemada sends Newcastle United into the 5th round of the FA Cup. It's his first goal in 15 games. And Voltemada lifts it into the net after Villa, who looked like they dealt with the immediate danger, make a mess of it by passing it out towards the area. And then it came to Voltemada, and as Martinez advanced off his line, he just lifted it into the top corner. It's been a long wait for Nick Voltemada, almost 2 months since he scored against Chelsea. It's his 10th for the club, and it's the goal that ensures they win at Villa Park against 10 men, but coming from behind with 3 second-half goals. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3.
Oh dear. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot in the head. Bogard, he rolls it straight into the middle of the 18-yard box. It's an absolute nightmare of a ball. Game, set, match.
Alex Murphy is on for his 6th Newcastle United appearance. He's gone to left back and Lewis Hall has gone to right back. Kieran Trippier has come off. And the Newcastle supporters are singing cheerio to the Aston Villa fans and waving them on their way. Voltemade with the third, and they've made the most of their one-man advantage. Kieran Trippier punching the air in the direction of the supporters behind the goal as he walks around the pitch. The red card for goalkeeper Marco Bizot just before half-time. Obviously key, and at least for 25 minutes we've stopped talking about the officiating. Here are Villa on the attack trying to get one back. We're in the final minute of the 90. Aston Villa need 2 to take it to extra time. Here's Sancho, the through ball looking for Buendia, muscled off it by Dan Burn, and it's a goal kick. Villa outsiders in a title race that's really a fight between Arsenal and Manchester City, but they've had a great Premier League season after an awful start. They could well win the Europa League, but they are minutes away from going out of the FA Cup. 4 is the number shown on the 4th officials board for additional time. Newcastle United lead 3-1. And you have to be pleased for Voltemade. The goals against Chelsea were his only goals in 20 appearances before tonight. He's played a different role this evening, and I think he's played it rather well.
Yeah, he's done all right, hasn't he? But you'd still like to see him play further forward, Razor.
Yeah.
You know, all this good stuff's done in and around just inside our own half. You want to see him playing 15 yards further forward and doing that. And it's opened up a bit more for him second half because of the sending off. There's a bit more space.
Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3. Treatment being given to a Villa player as the Magpie supporters celebrate. It's Emiliano Buendia who scored that cracker at St James's Park. 3rd meeting this season. First one was all square 0-0. Villa won at St James's. Now Newcastle are going to win at Villa Park and advance to the 5th round of the FA Cup. It's been a good few days for Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
And the players. And there could yet be more Wembley weekends. They'd have to win 2 more ties. Draws on Monday. We'll make sure they're in it before we talk a bit more about that. Back to Ramsdale. Just got to see it out now. Burn up to Alex Murphy. Has a touch. Can come forwards here from left back. Murphy has carried it onto Barnes and then gone on the outside. Gordon to Voltemade. Barnes has run offside. Murphy's available. He gets it from Voltemade, finds the German again. Voltemade turns away, gives it back to Gordon, and now Joe Willock, who got the assist for Voltemade's goal. And Willock on halfway, over to Chow. He's got Hall on the outside, and Elanga as well. Hall back to Chow. 3-1 Newcastle. Villa Park. Of empty purple and blue seats now. Final minute of the 4 that was added. Voltemade away from Buendia, who's back on, and they continue their personal battle. Free kick given for Newcastle. Voltemade to Murphy, back to Burn, and Voltemade gets it on the left in the United half. Sandro Tonali is currently the furthest player forwards. Newcastle back to Ramsdale, out to Byrne, Murphy up the line. Byrne goes long, back-pedalling. Lindelof heads it into midfield. Onana lifts it back to Digne, and now Pau Torres. Chip forwards. Murphy wins it with a header. It's just away from Gordon, from Barnes. Gordon beyond him, couldn't quite get there. Back to Martinez. 2 from Tonali, 1 from Voltemada. And they came from a goal down at half-time. Yes, against 10 men, but after some absolutely unbelievable decisions, Newcastle have turned it around. Here's Tonali looking for Willock. Oh, they've got the chance to go and get one more maybe. Willock to Barnes and back for Willock. Tonali in the middle. Willock looks to run Bogard and wins a corner, but that's it. They are through to the 5th round of the FA Cup after a turnaround at Villa Park against the 10 men of Aston Villa. They've scored 3 times in the second half. Tonali with 2. The first one was crucial to get them on the board just after the hour. The second was a brilliant strike that he drove into the bottom corner, and Voltemada on 88 after a Villa mistake at the back, dinking it into the top corner for his first goal since December. Aston Villa, who had goalkeeper Bizot sent off in first half added on time, had led through Tammy Abraham in the 14th minute, who was offside, but there's no VAR, and VAR tonight would have played a key role had it been in operation, because there were a number of big decisions that didn't go Newcastle's way that they can say justifiably were wrong, and it was getting angry. It was becoming about the officiating, which was all over the place. But the goal that they got to level it up came from a free kick that was awarded for a handball inside the box. Quite how they missed it, I don't know, but they made the situation count and they got level. Justice was done and they went on to win it, John Anderson. It's a great result to cap off a really positive few days.
Yeah, most definitely carrying on from Spurs. Second half they totally dominated, totally took the game to Villa. Tonali pushed on into a more advanced area, scored 2 goals. Second one's a great goal. It's an absolute fabulous finish. Third one, not too sure what Villa are trying to do. Pleased for Voltemada, he's put it away well. Villa struggled second half. They couldn't get hold of the ball, they couldn't keep the ball, and it just kept coming back at them all the time. Best side won.
5th round of the FA Cup. Draw will be on Monday night ahead of Macclesfield against Brentford. According to the Football Association, the draw will take place from about 6:35. So that's when to expect the balls going into the bag, and Newcastle will be number 13 in the draw. Sunderland or Oxford will be ball number 3, by the way. 5th round ties, weekend of the 7th and 8th of March in Newcastle United season. That will be in between a home match in the league against Manchester United and potentially a Champions League first leg of a last 16 tie if they beat Qarabag over 2 legs, the first on Wednesday in Azerbaijan. They're into round 5 alongside Chelsea, Wrexham, West Ham, Mansfield, who beat Burnley earlier, Manchester City, not them again surely, Norwich and Southampton, who needed extra time to see off Leicester. Liverpool, Brighton at 8 o'clock, more games tomorrow. Great to be in the hat, Ando, isn't it? It means an extra match, but they want to be in these competitions.
Yes, look, most definitely want to be in the competitions, and if you want to be in the competitions, you've got to play the games. It's as simple as that, you know. To be in the situation we're in and still involved in 3 competitions, just gone out of a 4th one, you've got to be absolutely delighted with the way the season has gone. I know some people aren't happy because of the league position, but to still be in 4 competitions in the first week in February. You go out in the semi-final of 1, you're still left in 3. You've come here to a difficult place that's never easy to come, and you win by 3 goals to 1. You've got to be happy. Got to be more than happy.
After celebrating in front of the supporters on the far side, Newcastle's players have made their way along the tunnel. Anthony Elanga is hearing his name being chanted. Sandro Tonali's getting a lot of affection. He's giving some interviews on the pitch. It's all about Newcastle United this evening at Villa Park, which has been the scene of some horror shows. It's been a place, a house of pain really for them, with the relegation in 2009 and then the bad results that effectively condemned them in 2016 to another relegation. Tonight, what could have been a disaster and could have been all about the referee and his 2 assistants with no VAR has ended up fortunately being about a comeback and an exciting second half in which they scored 3 times against 10 men, 2 from Tonali, 1 from Voltemada, to book their place in the next round of the FA Cup. And Eddie Howe, who's taken Newcastle to round 5 last season, a quarter-final of the year before, but out in the 3rd round to lower league teams in his first 2 campaigns, has the chance still of taking the club back to Wembley this season, just this time not in the League Cup but the FA Cup. We're going to be with you on BBC Radio Newcastle for another 15 minutes until 8. You can listen on BBC Sounds as well, and if you want some reaction from Eddie Howe, then on BBC Sounds a bit later, search for Newcastle United, get the manager's post-match interview. And another reminder that if you look for Newcastle United on BBC Sounds, you can find our special programme that we produced earlier this month, looking back at the 4-4 draw against Arsenal, which was 15 years ago this month. What was it, about 10 days ago, the anniversary. We spoke to some of the players, Steve Harper, Kevin Nolan, John Carver, who was on the staff, Mick Lowe's our commentator then. We heard from Newcastle fans and an Arsenal supporter about that famous comeback and that game. So if you fancy listening to that, then search for Newcastle United on BBC Sounds, and I'm sure you'll enjoy while you celebrate the win at Villa in the FA Cup, reflecting on a famous Newcastle United result. They will be in the hat for Monday's 5th round draw after coming back to win at Villa Park. It's finished Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3.
Ball number 13 on Monday evening for the FA Cup 5th round draw will be Newcastle United after that fairly chaotic win at Aston Villa. John Anderson is still with us. Evening, Ando.
Hey, Colin.
It means we don't have to talk about the referee very much and all the chaos that ensued from various different decisions, because, as we so often say, if it's a cup tie, all that matters is getting through.
Yeah. If we hadn't got through, we would have talked about him. But look, it just shows that in the Premier League, when you get Premier League referees reffing FA Cup ties where there's no VAR, just shows how reliant they are on it now. You know, they can't for the life of them make decisions. Linesmen don't get involved. They don't make decisions either. They don't help the referee out. I mean, the goal Villa got was offside. You could see he was offside. When we got the goal from, the free kick he gave was a penalty kick. He was well inside the penalty area. How the linesman doesn't see that. Dini's tackle on Murphy, I think if VAR had been involved in that, they would have sent him. Okay, he gives a yellow card, but I think VAR would have looked at that, sent him to the screen, and he probably would have been sent off. Now those ones are okay. You see what you see. It all happens so quickly, and you think it's yellow. That's fine. But you know, the offside one and the penalty one, unbelievable. You know, really, really strange. But it just shows that without VAR, referees nowadays, they can't referee the games. They're too reliant on it.
Yeah, and that's after me saying we didn't need to talk about the referee.
I tell you what else is funny. I tell you what else is funny about it as well. Supporters going mad at the referee.
Yeah.
But then they go mad at VAR when they don't get the decision to the way they want them to go.
Yeah, you can't win sometimes, but it was a remarkably poor refereeing performance, officiating performance, I think, from all of them. But Alexei, from a Newcastle point of view, it doesn't matter in the end. We don't have a huge amount of time. I'm going to read one message that's come in from John, who sent us a WhatsApp message. Really good professional performance tonight. Over the moon with Tonali, who needs to listen to you more often, says John. Pleased for Big Nick getting a goal on his birthday as well. It was interesting, I thought, when Anthony Gordon came on, he played up front even though Voltemada was still on the pitch. Eddie Howe is really trying to mould him, or believes he already is more of a number 10 than an out-and-out striker. How do you think it went for him?
See, I don't think he played in the 10 role today. I thought he played 10 yards too deep to play in the 10 role.
Yeah, true.
Especially first half, he didn't get close enough to Asula. Mind saying that Asula never held anything up, and his touch was poor and he kept giving it away. But, he needed to be closer to him. Did some good stuff, but it was 10, 15 yards deeper than you would have wanted him. Second half was a little bit better. Tonali got into more advanced positions. Obviously he did, because he scored 2 goals. But first half again, he was dropping in between centre backs, and there was no need to have him there. You want them 15 yards further forward. They sorted that out at half time, and Villa found it very, very difficult to get out in the second half. They couldn't hold the ball. Obviously the sending off changed the game to a degree. What the keeper's thinking of and what he's doing out there, I do not know, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that. And I must admit, at the time I thought there was enough defensive cover that it wasn't necessarily a goal-scoring opportunity and a straight red card. But actually, the way the tackle is made, then it's a bad enough tackle, I think, to justify a red card. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's a really high tackle. Yeah. I mean, it's the ball is going at an angle away from goal as well, and there was plenty of claret shorts getting back. But look, at the tackle was high, and as I say, what the keeper's doing out there, no idea. No idea.
Newcastle, did they manage the second half quite well? I know it was all a bit chaotic at times, but didn't go absolute hell for leather, because you can't do that against a team that's still got 10 men on the pitch.
No, I thought they handled it well. They kept the tempo of the game high. I think the substitutions helped as well. But totally controlled the second half. I mean, Villa caused their own problems at all. I mean, the third goal is probably the prime example of that. Bogart knocks a ball across his own 18 into his own 18-yard box, and you're thinking, dear oh dear. If you seen kids doing that on a Sunday morning, you'd have a go at them. But to see a professional player doing that, it's always a dangerous ball, and once it gets cut out, you're always in trouble. But look, that's by and by. But best team won, no doubt about that. We were head and shoulders better than Villa in the second half. And it's a little bit of a revenge for that defeat at St James's a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly. One more on an individual you kind of touched on in Will Asula. Got nearly 65 minutes. Every time he plays, it's an opportunity for him. Has he taken it to any extent?
People want to see him get games. People say he's got better. Did he take it tonight? Absolutely not. No. He ran around, bless him. He did. He ran, he chased. But every time he got it, he gave away. Or if he didn't give it away, he fell over. Kept losing his feet. No, he got an opportunity tonight. He was given the opportunity tonight. I don't think he did himself any favours at all tonight. I thought he was poor.
Last question before I let you go. Inevitable question. Who do you want in the 5th round, Ando?
Anybody at home apart from Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool.
So you want Mansfield at home, do you?
Mansfield or Macclesfield would be nice.
Yeah, well, Macclesfield are still. I mean, Mansfield are guaranteed to be in the 5th round. Macclesfield have still got it past Brentford, but
Mansfield at home
Port Vale or Bristol City as well. Their game was called off today, but
that would do. As long as it's at home,
at home to a non-Premier League side, you'd be happy. John Anderson, safe journey home. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers,
for talking
thanks,
to
Colin.
us.
Thank you.
The games come thick and fast for Newcastle United Wednesday in Azerbaijan, 5:45 kickoff for the first leg of that knockout round, the playoff round of the Champions League against Karabakh. And like I say, ball number 13 in the draw on Monday. They will be joined in that draw by a number of teams who won today. Chelsea and Wrexham won last night. Chelsea won 4-0 at Hull. Wrexham beating Ipswich by a 1-0. I mentioned Mansfield. They're in it, the League One side, because they won 2-1 away at Premier League Burnley today. Came from behind. They were 1-0 down at half-time. West Ham needed extra time to beat Burton Albion and Crescencio Somerville on a cracking goal-scoring run at the moment, scoring 5 minutes into extra time. West Ham actually had a man sent off 6 minutes later in that additional half an hour, but managed to hold on. Manchester City beat Salford City 2-0, which is 6 goals fewer than they scored against them in the FA Cup last season, but comfortable 2-0 win for them. Norwich beat West Brom by 3-1. Josh Madja scored West Brom's, it was an equaliser, but then 2 in the final 10 minutes for Norwich saw them through. Southampton beat Leicester for the second time in a week because they played each other in the Championship on Tuesday night, and Leicester were 3-0 up at half-time and lost 4-3. This time they were never leading, but it was 1-1 for a long period of time, and then in extra time Southampton scored their winner. There is one more game today. Liverpool against Brighton kicks off in 5 minutes time, and then 5 games tomorrow, one more on Monday. Macclesfield against Brentford is on Monday. The 5 games tomorrow: Arsenal against Wigan, Stoke against Fulham, Grimsby against Wolves, Birmingham against Leeds United, and Oxford United against Sunderland. We'll have full commentary on that one. Just enough time to tell you about the non-league results from today as well. Gateshead, unfortunately, though, have now lost 16 games in a row, beaten 2-1 at home by Brackley this afternoon in the National League. Very, very good point, though, for Hebburn Town at home to third-placed FC United of Manchester in the NPL Premier Division, and Hennesford lost as well, so they are now a point clear at the top with a game in hand. Morpeth, though, beaten 4-0 at home by Warrington Rylands. Blythe Spartans lost in the last minute, the 95th minute, 1-0 away at Emley in the East Division, but a great win for Ashington, 2-0 away at North Ferriby. Louis Burns and Liam Witherspoon in the second half. It's their first win since Christmas for Ashington, and it gets them not quite out of the relegation zone, but level on points and goal difference with the team that is above them. Scotland beat England 31-20 in the Six Nations after Ireland had come from behind to beat Italy by 20 points to 13 in the first of those games. France against Wales is tomorrow. Also tomorrow then, now that we know that Newcastle United are through to the 5th round, we will find out if Sunderland can join them. You can listen to that on BBC Sounds as well as BBC Radio Newcastle, because tomorrow it's a 2 o'clock kickoff at Oxford United. You can join Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett with us from 1 o'clock.
Players lining up on the edge of the box. Douglas Luiz is next to Rogers, who walks back from the ball. Douglas Luiz instead clips it in. Abraham might be offside. He's taken it down and put it in, and there's no flag. Aston Villa have scored. Newcastle look at each other. The goal will stand. Trippier's delivery. Goalkeeper palms it down. Barnes leaves it. Tanali hits it. It's in! Well, there's justice served, because they've equalised, and Sandro Tanali has his first goal of the season, and it's got the officials off the hook. They've been awful. Newcastle haven't been great, but playing against the 10 men of Aston Villa, they're back in it. It's 1-1, and the most relieved men should be the referee and his assistant. Bogart's header.
Oh, to Poodle.
Dan Burn. Sandro Tanali. Oh, what a goal! Sandro Tanali, what a hit! Tanali from range into the bottom corner, and a Tanali double has turned it around in the FA Cup at Villa Park. 1-0 down, 2-1 up against 10 men. Tanali's first goals of the season. What a strike! That arrowed into the bottom corner past Martinez. It's got to be a good shot. It's got to be accurate to beat Martinez. It's brilliant from Tanali, and Newcastle United might well be heading into the 5th round. And Watkins had come back to defend. He's in his own box. Oh! With a pass out from the back. Voltemada! Nick Voltemada sends Newcastle United into the 5th round of the FA Cup. It's his first goal in 15 games.
and Voltemada lifts it into the net after Villa, who looked like they dealt with the immediate danger, make a mess of it by passing it out towards the area. And then it came to Voltemada, and as Martinez advanced off his line, he just lifted it into the top corner. It's been a long wait for Nick Voltemada, almost 2 months since he scored against Chelsea. It's his 10th for the club, and it's the goal that ensures they win at Villa Park against 10 men, but coming from behind with 3 second-half goals. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.